The show is about to start. Reese on the Radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the Radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah! And another exciting chapter. It's Reese on the Radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. We've got anything and everything. Communism, socialism, capitalism. We'll talk about it all right here. Make sure you get on the phones, 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Roland is back in the building. We're happy to see him here. He did not come back with his pockets fat, ladies and gentlemen. We sadly report that Roland did not come back with the pockets fat. He is just as disappointed as I am. Of course, you had a tournament. You went all the way to Buffalo, New York. I wish you had stopped by our sister station to go hang out with them, WBEN, who I've actually been a host on that network. But can you tell a little bit about what happened or what the deal was?
Yeah, when you're in the big national tournaments like that, you got to bowl. I'm a 200 average, so I have to bowl 260s, 250s, 270s to get a big check in the mail later. So
right.
I just couldn't get out of the 2 teens and 220s. So I didn't bowl terrible.
Right.
I just didn't bowl. Like, I'll get a check back, but it's only going to be for like $200 or $300. You know, something.
That's it? Well, at least you get something.
you have to be able to bowl abnormally over your average.
Wow.
But what I can say is we went there eight people deep, and who I call my nephew, he's 20 was he 23? Which is my best friend's son.
Uh-huh.
This is his first year bowling league.
How'd he do?
He only averages a 160.
Okay.
And he went up there, and it only takes 1 3-game set. We bowled 6 3-game sets.
Okay.
For the weekend. And he bowled averaged all 5 sets except for one, and that one set he dialed in for some reason and went crazy, and he currently sits in first place.
No way.
Yep. 160 average. He bowled 205, 233, 236, and with all his handicap pins, he jumped up in first place by about 15 or 16 pins or so.
Do you think the competitive edge played a role? Do you think, like, being in that atmosphere may have let out the beast?
Yeah, at first he was nervous, so I could tell the first couple of sets he was nervous on Friday, and then Saturday we just kind of told him, hey, man, this is your first big tournament. Just, you don't have to be nervous. You don't have to be nervous. Just bowl.
Yeah.
And he kind of settled down and locked in, and he is currently, and his dad is ecstatic. I told him, I said, bro, you've been bowling for 15 years. This is your son's first year, and he's already better than you.
Hey, maybe it's in the genes. You never know. It could be in the genes. I don't know if bowling actually counts, but whatever. It could happen.
18,000. That's what he's going to win.
Wow. Well, congrats to him.
Yep.
And thank you. We're glad you're back. I know that you had not heard the intro music. The group is called The Panics. The wife and I went out over the weekend, and we bumped into this band, and the first 2 songs we heard, we immediately said, we need to make that the theme song of the show. And we loved the second song more than the first. The first one was Get Out of This Town, which we were thinking about, but I had to hear Holding Up the Wall, and I read the lyrics, and it literally, everything was perfect. Now, here's the crazy part. There were so many other reasons why we wanted this song and this group to be the official theme for the show, but this is going to knock your socks off. Here are the bandmates of the group, The Panics. Do I have it here? Oh, why do I not have it here? I thought I had it in front of me. It should. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so here are the bandmates. And in order, lead singer Daniel Pena, guitar Mike Ponce, the bass is D Snake, and on drums is King Roland.
Oh, wow.
As soon as I read, I told my wife, I said, get the band's name so I can give them a shout out when we played on Monday. And when she sent it to me, I said, King Roland on drums. How weird would that be?
Eerie.
And I said, and exactly, I went out to go find a live band just to go listen to a live band. We run into them, we hear the song, and I say, I got to use that song on the show. And then we get and it's King Roland. It was like it was all predestined. So
that's that good synergy right there.
yeah, exactly. I said, everything. There's no such thing as a coincidence, man. In my view. So if you know the song, and I've already told you, the Panics is spelled Panix. Go check them out, Spotify, anywhere. Download the song, show them some love for here at the Reese on the Radio, the official theme song of the Reese on the Radio program on WTIC. We got plenty of stuff to get into in the opening monologue, and I'm only going to tease some of it because I got this audio yesterday night from City Hall Adam of Ned Lamont. And I also have some other audio that involves Chris Murphy. By the way, Chris Murphy, I didn't know this. He's got problems with the Jewish community in Connecticut. Did you know this? I didn't. There's an article out now saying that Chris Murphy is running afoul with Jews in Connecticut. A large group of the Jewish community in Connecticut over his support for Zohran Mamdani. Yeah. We'll get into that as well today. And we have a guest. I cannot tell you how happy I am to have this guest on the show. Roland, you actually might be surprised at this.
People smile and wave all times a day. And all of my neighbors recycle. Yeah, they all love when they see me pulling up with my little fluffy chewini. Ain't got a chick in my passenger rubbing my lap like she trying to summon a genie.
You know who that is?
I do not.
That is Connecticut's own Chris Webby.
Oh, I know Chris Webby.
Of course you do. Chris Webby. He's going to be a guest on the show. He'll be here at 4 o'clock to talk about the herbicide spraying in Connecticut lakes. In fact, this is apparently happening all across the country. But in Connecticut in particular, there is a herbicide called Dequat that's going to be sprayed. And Chris Webby was one of the first people online talking about it and sharing videos about the damage of this herbicide, which is like Roundup in an industrial way that has been linked to organ damage and other things. So Chris is going to come on the show today at 4 o'clock to talk about that and, of course, some other things. I think he said something great, and I'm going to ask him about it because the reason why, and if you watch the video, please go on X and go to my X account, Reese on Radio, so you can watch it as well. Chris said something that really, really touched my soul, which is why I wanted him on. He said that this is one of those things that we can unite on, which I thought was a perfect tone to have in all of this. So we'll talk to him about that at 4 o'clock. Also, in some other news, yesterday we were supposed to have Ben Wetmore, the board member or board of Project Veritas, was supposed to be on the show yesterday at 4 o'clock. He called me last night to apologize. He'll be here on Wednesday to make up for yesterday's show. We had a long talk. He said he saw the email that he was supposed to be on, but he didn't read it and didn't read what day he was supposed to be on. So he said it was his bad. He took ownership of it and said he's going to be here on Wednesday. So we can expect him on Wednesday. He is working to get Elvira on the program. Elvira Saeed, who is the mother of Eileen Saeed. We've talked about it ad nauseum here. She's the young lady who committed suicide after meeting with Reverend Miller at the Metropolitan Community Church of Hartford. So we'll talk about that with him as well. Mamdani has dominated the news cycle in the last week. And many people are probably saying to themselves, why are we still talking about this guy? There are two reasons for this. One, it's kind of a slow week. It is. I'll admit it. Even though that we just found out that the DOJ is suing California for being a sanctuary state, Los Angeles in particular, that should actually, that should have some ripple effect towards Connecticut. We'll talk about that a little bit in the 5 o'clock hour. We've also got the biggest scandal in medical, in Medicaid history. Some $14 billion that was being fleeced. We got that to talk about. I mentioned it yesterday in headlines. Now that's making news. Why? Slow news week. That's how that happens. When you don't have anything to report about, the stories that usually get ignored, get focused on. We'll talk about that a little bit today. But Mamdani is a focus because Democrats see daylight. They have been in the dark for so long. They have been in dire straits for so long. The news media, with regard to Democrats, has been so awful. They need a ray of light. And Mamdani is that ray of light for them. Do we have a champion? That's what they're asking themselves. Do they have a champion? Now, you and I may say, nah, not with this guy. That's impossible. Well, we don't have to see it that way. We are, in many ways, being critical of Democrats, being critical of their socialist leanings, and now with Mamdani, they may be embracing it wholeheartedly. They may have no choice because they're desperate. We may laugh at this, but Democrats are serious about him. They don't have a choice. And you can tell how serious they are based upon how long it takes them to answer a question about him. Let me explain. Mamdani should be an open and shut case in New York or in politics overall. You should be able to say he's an outlier because it's New York and no one voted in that primary. Or say he is a ray of light, a ray of sunshine, and he is the future. But you're hearing different messages all over. No one is on board. Why? No one is completely on board. Why? Because they're nervous. When you've had that many losses, you can't just jump on the next pretty thing. And boy, he pretty. Let me give you a couple of ideas on what I'm talking about here. Here is the governor, Lamont, talking about Mamdani, talking about him being transformative. But listen to everything else that Governor Lamont doesn't say.
So as you know, last week there was a primary in New York City. Zohran Mamdani won. One of his big issues was housing and affordability. You just vetoed a piece of legislation that a lot of people thought had been negotiated with your office. What's going to be the future of housing legislation in Connecticut, and how do you read Zohran Mamdani's victory in New York City with that issue being a driving force?
I think he is a big deal. I think he's transformative. I love what he's doing on a universal pre-K for everybody. Same thing that we're doing right here. Talking about free bus service for folks. We did that all during COVID as well. But you're absolutely right. Affordable housing is the biggest key to affordability in our state, and I think across the country. There's a bill out there right now that I did veto, but we're going to bring it back in a better form, make sure the towns are taking the lead. But we need more housing. It's not just affordable housing, it's workforce housing and housing for single people. 30% of people live alone these days. That wasn't the case when you and I were younger, but it is now. So we got to make sure we have housing that meets the market.
You were supportive of Andrew Cuomo. Are you now supportive of Zohran Mamdani in New York?
Now, mind you, all of that stuff, he said everything but nothing. So Major Garrett here of CBS News is, hey, so you going to support this guy or what?
I just said that I had worked with Andrew Cuomo when he was governor, so I can work with whoever the next mayor is. And that's Mamdani. Absolutely. I look forward to working with him. The first call he's going to get from us. Look, New York City is the financial capital of the world. And Stamford, Connecticut, and Southern Connecticut are a big piece of that ecosystem. We have to work together closely.
Sound like a ringing endorsement? No. But it's not a repudiation either. Why? Because Lamont has people within his own party who really endorse Mamdani. Really do. And if he's ever thinking about running again, Lamont, he's got to tread lightly. They're all scared to death. Now, some people who are political hacks, and as I like to call them, media tramps, who are all over the place and will sell their behind to anyone who will give them an opportunity, to be a part of that coalition. Just let me ride your coattails. Just let me ride your coattails. Well, it could be none other than Christoph Murphy. Now listen to this, where he says on one network a whole bunch of nonsense without endorsing it.
There are certain things that he stands for and says that I don't agree with, but I think you have to pay attention to the fact that you had a candidate in New York City that was talking every single day about the cost of living. And he was proposing really big, sometimes radical ideas to take power from folks who have way too much of it, like the big realty companies that are jacking up rents in New York City and transferring it to regular people. He did have a laser-like focus on cost of living, on shifting power to people who don't have enough of it. And I think if the Democratic Party, writ large, spend as much time or as big a percentage of our communications time talking about the cost of living as Mamdani did in New York, we'd probably win a lot more elections.
So he says if we sound more like Mamdani, we probably win more elections. Not an entire endorsement of him. He's a little hesitant. He doesn't know. He doesn't know if the water's warm yet. But it didn't take that long, because on CNN, Chris Murphy pretty much laid it out.
Do you think so, that Mamdani is the future of the Democratic Party?
Well, I think his message, his economic message, is the future of the party.
His economic message is the future of the party. Well, when we get back, folks, we'll talk about Mamdani's economic message that Chris Murphy is a part of, exposing both gentlemen of being communists. Stick around. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. It's Reese on the Radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Paid for by Hims & Hers Health. Hims & Hers Weight Loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at 4hers.com apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded.
Trying to lose weight? It's time to try Hers. At 4hers.com/radio, you can access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss treatments tailored to you. These include oral medication kits and personalized compounded semaglutide, the same active ingredient that's in Ozempic and Wegovy, but at a much lower price. So you can can lose weight for less money than you'd spend on name brand drugs. Through Hers, pricing for personalized compounded semaglutide starts at just $165 a month for a 12-month plan when paid in full upfront. No hidden fees, no membership fees. Plus, the process is 100% online. If prescribed, your personalized plan ships free directly to your door. Reach your weight loss goals with help from Hers. Get started at forhers.com/radio to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's forhers.com/radio. forhers.com/radio.
And now, a WTIC news update.
It's 2:30, Hartford temperature 89 degrees. Good afternoon, I'm John Silva. WTIC 1080 News. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says Republicans got the job done in passing President Trump's bill of tax breaks and spending cuts. Vice President Vance was needed to break a 50-50 tie for the Republicans. Bill now heads to the House. In Hartford, City's Board of Ed will be announcing its next school superintendent. 5:30 special meeting this afternoon. The current superintendent, Dr. Leslie Torres, is moving on after 8 years. Crying on the witness stand, Raul Valley testified today that he acted in self-defense during a fight involving rival high school students at a Shelton house party in 2022.
How were you feeling while you were flailing around with that knife?
More scared than before. Terrified. Just, it didn't make him stop even though I was flailing around a knife.
He has pled not guilty in the murder of Jimmy McGrath and the assault of 3 other people at that party, which a fight broke out. WTIC News Time is 2:31. Bob Cox is the WTIC Weather Center forecast.
Hot and quite humid out there this afternoon. Temperatures into the upper 80s and low 90s. And as we go through the afternoon into this evening, there'll be the increasing threat for a thunderstorm or two. Any storms do form, have the potential to produce some torrential downpours and even some localized flash flooding. And there's a small chance there could be some wind damage in a couple of spots, but we do not anticipate widespread severe weather today. And then tonight, it's still muggy with the chance for a shower or thunderstorm continuing, the low around 70 or so. We'll have some lingering clouds and maybe a shower or two around Wednesday morning. We'll try to go partly sunny by the afternoon, highs in the 80s, slightly less in the way of humidity. Partly cloudy Wednesday night, lows in the 60s. Thursday's partly sunny with the chance for a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon or evening. Highs 85 to 90. Friday and the weekend look mostly sunny and warm. The humidity's comfortably low Friday and Saturday with temperatures in the low and mid 80s. And then we get up to about 90 or so Sunday with higher humidity. I'm meteorologist Bob Cox in the WTIC Weather Center.
Wall Street, the Dow up 434 points. NASDAQ's down 118 and the S&P is up a point. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Hi, I'm Joe with SimpleSaleUSA.com, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 203-896-4000. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and more importantly, anywhere in Connecticut. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trash and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying junk houses. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and even foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 203-896-4000. That's 203-896-4000. 203-896-4000.
If you've been injured in an accident, don't let the insurance company decide how much you're worth. At Carter Mario Law Firm, you're more than just a client and more than just a quick settlement. When you get Carter, we'll help you get more. More experience, more attention, and more accessibility. The Carter Mario Law Firm's zero-fee warranty means you pay nothing unless we win. Visit GetCarter.com or call 877-200-HUMAN. Get Carter.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Attention. $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-207-4545. That's 800-207-4545. Once again, that's 800-207-4545.
Hi, this is Robert H. Steele, one of the sons of WTIC's Bob Steele, wishing WTIC a very happy anniversary.
Forgot about that. We're back. It's Reese on the Radio, WTIC, News Talk 1080. Plenty of stuff to get into today. Of course, as I mentioned, rapper Chris Webby is going to be here today talking about Dequat. This is the herbicide that is supposed to be sprayed over the holiday weekend, the 4th of July weekend in Connecticut lakes. From the stories that I'm getting, and somebody can help me here, this is supposed to happen in the southern region of Connecticut in some of those lakes. I don't think this is happening all over. We have some of the documents that were sent out by the Army Corps of Engineers. A letter was sent out explaining what was being done and how it was being conducted. But there are a lot of concerns about this herbicide because, according to reports, it's poisonous. There are not a lot of studies, human studies, on this herbicide. So we'll talk to Chris Webby about that and how he got involved. So stay tuned for that. If you have any information related to this, please, don't hesitate to get on the phones. 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Let me get back to this audio that I have. Justin Elliker, by the way, is also in the news with regards to this Mamdani election. We just got the results. I saw in the New York Post that the damage done to Andrew Cuomo as a candidate in New York was quite severe in how badly Mamdani beat him. But there's an article in the Connecticut Mirror that says, hold up a bit. It's not that much of an issue unless people who are trying to stop Mamdani don't respond. And this article, I think, was in, and I'll find out exactly where, I think it was in the Connecticut Mirror. But it says, in an election reflected by the views of fewer than 17% of New York voters, socialist Zoran Mamdani's defeated disgraced former Governor Andrew Cuomo and 5 other candidates in a high-profile election and managed to draw just 1/3 of Big Apple's Democrats to the poll via or via mail-in ballots. They say it's inconceivable that ordinary New Yorkers, including the 83% who didn't vote on June 24th or couldn't participate in the closed primary, will be happy with the outcome if the Democrat primary winner prevails on November 4th. The ideology underpinning Mr. Mamdani's candidacy is, to put it as kindly as possible, wacky. He is pro-Palestinian, pro-defund the police, supports rent freezes, and favors expanding city services and raising taxes. And these things cannot be that of those who live in New York writ large, with 17% of voters showing up. They even go so far as to talk about Connecticut races. In particular, Joe Lieberman's case, remember? Where he ran as an independent when he lost in a primary. To whom else other than Governor Lamont? At the time then, candidate Lamont. What happened? Lieberman ended up winning. He still remained a Democrat. He, of course, he what's the term? He conferenced with Democrats. He stayed a Democrat. He just had the moniker of independent. So the same thing could happen here with Mamdani. But they have to ask themselves, how do you go after a guy like that? Do you call him a socialist? Do you call him a communist? Do you bring up his radical past with going after Israel, with the BDS movement? You have to wonder if that stuff is going to come back to bite you as a Democrat. Do you alienate his supporters all across the tri-state? I'm just talking about Connecticut here. Because Connecticut does, if I'm seeing everywhere, every place I look, as far as a journalist is concerned, is talking about how Mamdani is affecting Connecticut politics. Even the governor is talking about it, as you just heard. Even Justin Ellicker is getting in on it. But I got other fish to fry with him, so I'm not even going to bother with him. We'll get to that later. But as I played earlier, Chris Murphy says that Mamdani is the future of the party. Here's him again.
Do you think so, that Mamdani is the future of the Democratic Party?
Well, I think his message, his economic message, is the future of the party.
That is key. His economic message is the future of the party. Now, why does Chris Murphy say that? That's simple. Chris Murphy often talks about power and government taking the power from the billionaires and millionaires and getting that to regular people. How do you do that? No one even bothers to ask him. He'll repeat it anywhere you ask him to. Chris Murphy will talk about it ad nauseum. Got to take power. Got to get power. Got to get the power out of their hand, get it to the people's hands. Clearly, Chris Murphy is suggesting that he and people like him, politicians, elected officials, they will be those who will take such power. And he believes Mamdani's economic message is the future of the party. I'm glad he feels that way. If this had been Zohran Mamdani in 1992, I wouldn't have cared. But it's 2001. It's not that long ago.
It is very critical for all of us to remember what it is that we are fighting for, and to remember that our agenda is an agenda that must not be dictated by calculus, but by conviction. And what I mean by that is that the many things that we believe, some of them are already popular in this moment right now.
Okay. So Mamdani is seizing on the socialist ideas that are popular right now, and he's saying we must act on them. Now, if he said that in 2001, and now he's talking the same message in 2025, and that's what he's saying. That's what he said all over Meet the Press, that he has a coalition of people who agree with him and these socialist ideas. He's not backing down. And he said it must not be the power of our conviction. It can't be just that. He said they have to go further.
Right, if we're talking about the cancellation of student debt, if we're talking about Medicare for all, these are issues which have the groundswell of popular support across this country. But then there are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right, or whether it is the end goal of seizing the means of production.
There it is. The end goal of seizing the means of production. What are the end goals of seizing the means of production? I'll read it to you. ChatGPT, is seizing the means of production communism? Seizing the means of production is a concept strongly associated with communism, particularly in Marxist theory, where it refers to the working class taking control of the tools, factories, and resources used to produce goods, aiming to abolish private ownership and establish a classless society. That's what he means. And that's what Chris Murphy believes the economic future of the party is. Again, do not take my word for it. Take Chris Murphy's.
There are certain things that he stands for and says that I don't agree with, but I think you have to pay attention to the fact that you had a candidate in New York City that was talking every single day about the cost of living. And he was proposing really big, sometimes radical ideas to take power from folks who have way too much of it, like the big realty companies that are jacking up rents in New York City and transferring it to regular people. He did have a laser-like focus on cost of living, on shifting power to people who don't have enough of it. And I think if the Democratic Party, writ large, spend as much time or as big a percentage of our communications time talking about the cost of living as Mamdani did in New York, we'd probably win a lot more elections.
That's all you need to know. And it's not like Chris Murphy has not echoed that for years and years and years. It's been his go-to line. It just is. Seizing the means of production, taking power out of those who have it and giving it to others. Talking about billionaires, Donald Trump's billionaire friends. Talking about how we should have embraced Bernie Sanders more in 2015. Chris Murphy is creeping his way towards it because he thinks, weirdly enough, he believes that there's something there that he can glom onto. Not suggesting that this guy's got an ounce of integrity. I believe that the Democratic Party would have shifted to capitalism tomorrow and it looked like they were getting great crowds because of it, Chris would turn on Mamdani in a heartbeat. I do. I believe that within a second, this guy's got absolutely no loyalty to anything. I told you the guy was a worm. I know he's a worm. But Chris Murphy's saying that's the future of the party. He's not going to tell anybody else what to do. But he doesn't want to be ousted. He knows that Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, out on their last leg. They are not long for this party. Not if AOC gets a hold of it. You know what I've actually found interesting? This is the part that I found interesting. In the year of the black woman, how could Jasmine, Jazzy, Fat Nasty Crockett not be upset about this? I thought that woman was sucking all the oxygen out of the room. I thought she was the future of the party. And she has been ignored as of late. I know that she's got to say some really outlandish, stupid, irrational things in order to get into the news cycle. But I thought that she was a shoo, and I thought it was the year of the black woman. I really thought it was. But apparently, Mamdani trumps Angry black woman. I don't know. I don't know. The totem pole is ever shifting in the oppression Olympics. I don't know who's on first, who's on second. I don't know. I just don't. It's ever changing. We need a woman. We don't need a woman. We need a homosexual. We don't need a homosexual. We need a Muslim. I don't know. I just don't know. It's just so fluid, much like how they feel about gender. Anybody can be in control. This guy's on top. She, him, herm. I don't know. It's all so confusing. I liked it better when it was just he, her, him, her. Now it's shim, herm. I don't know. I'm just completely blown away by all of this. We'll get some more. Look, I've got so much more to get into when we get back. We got headlines coming up. Justin Ellicott did an interview with the New Haven Independent. We'll play some of that. What I find so alarming about that piece is Justin Ellicott is talking about education and how bad it is in the state of Connecticut. And I want to address that in a little bit, plus some other audio. He's sending out these mailers that are suggesting or asking if New Haven is becoming MAGA country. We'll get into that as well. So don't go anywhere. We got to pay some bills, as we always do. And we'll see you on the other side of that. So stick around. It's Reese on the Radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
But do you know what our most important ingredient is?
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Low testosterone affects many men today, even men as young as 30. But finding someone you can trust for quality low T treatment isn't so easy. This is Dale for Northeast Men's Health, a Promedic restorative health practice. And that's why I'm pleased to announce the opening of our newest location of Northeast Men's Health right here in Warwick. As a Promedic affiliate, Northeast Men's Health has the experience and expertise to get you the right treatment for your particular medical situation. At Northeast Men's Health, we're experts in treating low testosterone. In fact, we've successfully treated thousands of men for low T and have seen the amazing impacts low T treatments have. If you're like most men, you'll sleep better, have more energy and improve mental clarity, get better gains in the gym, and your sex drive will likely improve as well. So call us. Just $99 gets you a PSA and T test and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 800-930-5956. That's 800-930-5956. Or go to northeastmenshealth.com. We have 6 offices across the Northeast to serve you.
If you're a small business owner looking to improve or expand your business, you're probably faced with choices. Things like more inventory or paying bills or taxes, and tariffs that have you in a cash crunch. Choosing can be hard when you need them all for a clear path to success. At LendSeek, we don't think you should have to choose between the things you need to grow and improve your business. At lendseek.com, you'll find our exclusive AI-based lending marketplace, where you can access up to $1 million in business funding with minimal paperwork, no prepayment penalties, and no restrictions on how the funds are put to work. If you've been in business for at least 2 years with annual revenue of at least $500,000, our online AI-enabled platform can connect your business to over 100 funders with funding in as fast as 24 hours. Whether you own a local retail shop, contracting company, online business, services, we've got you covered. Apply today with no
certain things that he stands for and says that I don't agree with, but I think you have to pay attention to the fact that you had a candidate.
To WTIC News Talk 1080 on the free Odyssey app. Download and like WTIC today for alerts on special programming.
I have so much stuff sitting at my desk. I forget that I have so many other things that I have to do or remember to do. Anyway, today, again, don't forget, we've got Chris Webby, rapper, local here in Connecticut, talking about the aquatic invasive plant control research demonstration project that's happening in the Connecticut River to get rid of the hydrilla plant that appears to be invasive, according to the Army Corps of Engineers. We'll talk about Chris Webby about it. He's online trying to get attention to it and trying to get people to contact those that are getting this done. And the people Chris Webby is asking us to get in touch with are Dick Blumenthal, as well as Governor Murphy. Governor Murphy. Don't even say that, Reese. Governor Lamont. Don't even say that, Reese. Oh, my goodness. Never, ever say that again. I'm chastising myself. Chastising me. I need to go on a timeout. I got to go on a timeout. Oh, man. Plus, we'll talk about the Jewish community being angry at Chris Murphy as well, plus other news. We got headlines coming up. Stupidest thing I read today is a doozy. It's always a doozy when I read this stuff, and the fact that anyone actually does the stuff that's in the story or prints it always makes me laugh and blows my mind. I saw a video of Washington Square Park today where a bunch of teens were there and somebody had pepper sprayed kids in the park. But it wasn't so much that there was a large crowd at the park. It was the filth that was all over that Washington Square Park. And in the 90s, I had spent so much time there, almost every day in the early 90s as a young kid working in music videos and working for MTV. Washington Square Park was my hangout daily. And I saw this video of these kids walking through Washington Square Park, and it looked like pure hell. It was disgusting. And that region, that area, West 4th, West 3rd, Sullivan, all of that strip there, the smallest bar, all of that, Judson Hall, NYU, Waverly Place, all of that is, we're talking the average property is $2 million to live. And those kids have made it look like hell. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. And I listened to this whole Mamdani thing. They don't know what they're voting for, but God bless them. I know. I worry about how it's going to resonate other places, how it's going to, transfer to other places. That's a concern. But I swear, I hope they vote for this bozo, and I hope they burn it to the ground, man. I hope they let this guy burn it to the ground. I hope his hatred of wealth and business, opulence, beauty, whatever it is, I hope his absolute disdain for it causes him to destroy it, to make everybody run from it, and turn that into Escape from New York. I want him to turn it into a point where a real-life Snake Plissken has to helicopter in and save a dignitary and get him out of there. I hope it turns into a police state. Not even that. No, I hope they turn it into a social worker state that police officers refuse to work in because they've been maligned, and they just leave and go elsewhere and leave the people who were there who voted for this to their own devices, where they have to struggle just to go to the grocery store. They have to go through a gauntlet of weed smoke and drug paraphernalia, where they have to walk down the street and hope they don't get stabbed with a hypodermic needle. I hope that's what turns that. I hope that's what happens to that city. And they turn Hoboken into the capital of the world. That's what I hope. Because that's what this guy's. And I listened to him. I listen to what he says about people who have made that city beautiful, bountiful. He hates them. And he's a young ideological kid, and plenty of other people who hate their own. They hate their race. They hate their wealth. They hate their opportunities. They hate them all. They don't think it's deserved, and they want to destroy it, and they have an appetite to just blow it all up. And I say let them have it. Let them have their toys. Let them manage that place into ruin. That's what they're going to do. If I were you, I'd be smart enough to stay away from it. I know some of you have jobs down there. Excuse me. I know some of you, but those jobs, I mean, it's not long for you to work there. They're going to, I mean, you don't think this guy's going to come after people who live in the beautiful suburbs of Connecticut? You don't think you're going to be, the guy is openly talking about going after white neighborhoods. That's it. What are you going to do? We'll see. Let's get some news with John Silver, top of the hour, right here on WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC is celebrating 100 years on the air and 100 years of serving Connecticut. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
3 o'clock, Hartford, temperature 89 degrees. Good afternoon. Got the chance of a shower, thunderstorm perhaps. Still stays warm and muggy around here. All the forecast details coming up. President Trump's budget barely cleared the Senate after an all-nighter. Now it's on to round 2.
The bill still has to go back to the House since the Senate made a number of changes, and that's where it will face another big test. But Speaker Mike Johnson is promising that House members will take it up immediately.
The Vice President votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
Vice President J.D. Vance delivered the tie-breaking vote to pass the massive GOP budget bill.
Correspondent Natalie Brand, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, one of 3 Republicans who voted nay.
I think they're going to look at it and see that it's much less conservative than it started out to be, and it's going to add much more to the debt. And so I think without question, this is not a fiscally conservative bill.
Senator Richard Blumenthal, in a statement, called the measure stupid and says millions will lose their health care under it. The defendant in the Shelton House Party murder trial involving rival high schoolers in 2022, back on the witness stand in Milford Superior Court today. Raul Valley told jurors he acted in self-defense when he became involved in a melee of rival high school students. He answered questions from his defense attorney, Kevin Smith, before fielding questions from the prosecution.
Did you feel like you knew them well?
No.
Did you want to kill any of those kids?
No.
Did you want to hurt any of those kids?
No.
What did you want to do when you were down there on that ground and all those fists were punching you and those legs were kicking you?
Get them away from me.
Jury deliberations could begin this week. In New Haven, investigators are trying to figure out what started a fire at a home in the city earlier this morning. It was a little after, just before 10. The fire broke out in a residence on Dixwell Avenue. Firefighters found heavy fire in the rear of that 2-family structure by the time they arrived. No injuries were reported, but one adult was rescued, as was a cat. And again, fire marshal working to come to a conclusion as to what started that fire. President Trump visited the new Florida immigration detention facility today, known as Alligator Alcatraz.
The reality is that the administration needs more detention facilities to keep up with its very aggressive deportation program and detainment program. They say they actually want about 100,000 more beds as they continue to round up unauthorized migrants.
Correspondent Nancy Cortez. For many, the Independence Day travel period has begun, or is about to begin. Tracy Noble at Greater Hartford AAA on when they expect the busiest times to be on the roads.
We're expecting Wednesday to be one of the heaviest travel days. So expect the roads to be crowded Wednesday, July 2nd, between noon and 9 p.m.
And the majority, over 87%, will travel to their holiday destinations by automobile. Some of the top holiday destinations include Orlando, Seattle, and New York City. WTIC News Time is 3:04 from the WTIC at 24-hour traffic network on this Tuesday afternoon. We do have some delays to report with some leftover road work, some leftover repair work in East Windsor on the southbound side of 91 between exits 44 and 42. Right lane is closed. Should be wrapping that up momentarily. We also have a closure, it looks like, in Burlington. This is 69 off Scoville Road. Looks like a fire there with some downed wires. Leftover repair work for us in Manchester on 384 West between exits 3 and 1B. Road work in West Hartford, the West Hartford area, eastbound between exits 40 and 58. You got left and center lanes closed with that. Let's check the WTIC Weather Center forecast.
Well, the rest of our Tuesday afternoon, it'll be hot and humid, turning cloudy. Couple of showers and a heavy thunderstorm this afternoon that could bring some flooding, downpours, and localized damaging wind gusts. Otherwise, the high up to 91. Tonight, a thunderstorm on the prowl this evening that could still produce some flooding, downpours, and localized damaging wind gusts. Otherwise, partly cloudy, warm and humid, the low only 71. Warm and humid for us on Wednesday. Overcast in the morning, clouds and sun, but a thunder shower in the area late in the afternoon, the high of 86. Thursday, mostly cloudy, a gusty thunderstorm in the afternoon that could produce some localized damaging wind gusts. Hot again with the high up to 91. A beautiful day for the 4th of July Friday, less humid with lots of sun. Not as hot either, the high of 84 for Independence Day. Saturday, filtered sunshine. Air quality will be poor for some groups, the high of 86. Filtered sun again Sunday, hot, the high up to 93. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones up 441 points. NASDAQ is down 174, and the S&P is down 8 points. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Life can be unpredictable at times, but you shouldn't have to suffer the consequences of someone else's negligence. If you've been in an accident or work-related injury and it's not your fault, you need a lawyer who knows how to get you the fair and just compensation. At Brown, Painderis & Scott, our team of personal injury lawyers have over 100 years of combined experience. At BPS Lawyers, you get more than a lawyer. You get a full-service law firm. Call us at 860-CALL-BPS or visit bpslawyers.com. Bruce Newman is responsible for the content of this ad.
How did you get your tripping breakers fixed so fast?
ALO Home Services. Same day electrical. I gave them a call and they had a technician on their way. They even sent the technician's real-time location so I knew when they would be here.
Did you say same day? That's crazy.
If you need same-day electrical, call, click, or text today and say hello, ALO, call for details. Licensed for safety. HIC 628926, P102776688, S104062441, S3308699, SN3004646, E1185643.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
Grabbing all of this stuff in front of me because I got to make sure that I'm raring to go. 860-522-WTIC. We'll get to your phone calls, I promise, soon enough. I got all of this stuff to get to, and I don't want to leave it on the cutting room floor. And that's kind of the whole purpose of doing this thing, is to get that stuff out of there. So let's do some news. Someone asked me, was it last week after the primary election, after Mamdani beat Andrew Cuomo, someone asked me whether or not Donald Trump would endorse Eric Adams for mayor. Well, it looks like President Donald Trump has given his endorsement to the mayor of New York. He said that pretty much that's the only way to go. Other than that, it's Mamdani's race to lose. He doesn't believe that the city is going to go to a communist, but it could very well. And Donald Trump is prepared to go to war if that's the case. So he's openly endorsed Eric Adams, which probably is going to tick off, if not annoy, the Raspberry Beret. And for those of you who don't know who that is, that's Curtis Sliwa. That's what I call him. It's very rare that I ever refer to him by name. I call him the Raspberry Beret. It's just what I do. So I hope you understand that. Former FBI agent Peter Strzok, remember him? Well, it looks like he'll finally get his chance to smell Trump supporters at his local Walmart, as President Donald Trump is selling a $250 bottle of cologne and perfume called Victory 4547. I don't know why he's doing this. I don't know why. I know it's to troll. He is a troller. Donald Trump is. Why $250? At some point, you've got to ask yourself, one, who would buy it? And two, whether or not he's selling it to tick off his detractors or people in the media. I heard, what's her name, Lauren Phillips, whatever her name is, on CNN talking about, what does MAGA smell like? I don't know. People are already saying that it smells like white trash, things like that. Whatever. It's so easy. No one's going to purchase this, and if they do, it's for a limited time, and people will keep it to themselves. But I know some people who will buy it that think it'll be worth something later on. I have no idea. Speaking of Zoran Mamdani and his surprise victory over Democratic mayoral primary last weekend, it looks like people are taking notice. Isaac Toledano, who is the CEO and co-founder of BH Group, one of South Florida's most active luxury developers, said to Newsweek that within a day of the primary results, we had serious inquiries from buyers in Manhattan and Connecticut. One asked about the Ritz-Carlton residences in West Palm Beach, and others talked about West Pompano Beach hotel and residences. For many wealthy buyers looking into relocating from New York City to Florida, the idea of leaving the Big Apple is more than a plan B in case Mamdani wins the mayoral election later this year. It's a strategic investment that they are doing right now. So we're talking, again, I told you that the wealthy in Connecticut were going to feel this, because if you run businesses, if you work, if you have a lucrative job in Manhattan, you work in the financial institutions, and you live in Connecticut, he's going to want to tax you. It's not like Cuomo didn't do that. Remember all of those people, all those nurses who came from out of town to work in New York? He found a way to tax them. That's what's going to happen. Also, to give you a slight look at what New York is going to be like, 10,000 city workers in Philadelphia just went on strike after their demands for higher pay weren't agreed upon. And 9/11 operators, trash collectors, rec center staffers, they've all gone on strike. And the mayor told residents not to take out their trash and to have patience while calling 911 in Philadelphia. There's going to be a lot of mayhem there. This is why I don't like public worker unions. Anyway, and finally, look, I didn't see the first one. I'm sure people might be excited for this, but Hollywood obviously has run out of options. The Devil Wears Prada is going to make a sequel. I figured I'd lighten it up a little bit. It looks like Anne Hathaway, Meryl Streep, Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci are all set to reprise their roles in that film. The Devil Wears Prada 2 looks like that's happening. So, if you're excited about that, yay. Only reason why I'm talking about it because it's in the news. Let's go to my good friend, Frank. Paisan. What's going on, sir?
Yo, Reese.
Yes.
KCDH. Hey, it's Ferris Freud checking in from the Grand Cayman.
And you're
in
calling
Myrtle
on
Beach.
Frank's telephone number?
Well, you might say that, but what I wanted to tell the audience and you is that it's National Take Back Talk Radio Day, and Frank from Woodbridge would be amazed to see what I see down here. Now, the Grand Cayman, of course, is one of the resort hotels at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I don't know if you've been here recently.
Are you in a cave?
Yes, I am in a cave. Can you hear my words?
No, I can't hear you. Sounds like you're in a cave. Let's get Adam in East Hartford. Hello, Adam. How are you?
Reese, thanks a million for taking my call. You're a great talk show host, and you're fair to everybody. Thank you for taking my call.
I try, sir. What do you got?
Hey, today, though, because I want to stay on topic. Last time I screwed up and I went off topic. But
That's
I wanted
okay.
to say, well, you mentioned just before I called, Sliwa, Curtis Sliwa.
Yeah.
Got to go with him, right?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know. I've never been a fan of Curtis Sliwa. I think he is, he's a character, but I don't think he's suited for public office. I just don't. And Republicans don't take him seriously anyway. And let me give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. There hasn't been a real conservative or real Republican to run New York since Giuliani. There just hasn't. That's the reason why we got Bloomberg, because no one, and Giuliani, I blame for Bloomberg because he endorsed him, allowing him to actually switch his party. New York did allow him to come in and run as a independent, then a Republican, then back as an independent, knowing damn well this guy has always been a liberal. It's blown my mind. I don't get it. But
I won't be on one, but I agree with you. It's going to be bad news if that Ramdani gets in.
Mamdani, it is. The sad part is that, and I think the problem is, a perfect storm has come up upon New York. And not that I care, but perfect storms are my business. A perfect storm of a scandal-ridden Eric Adams that a lot of people on the left feel he betrayed them by siding with Trump. And that's going to hurt him and his reelection campaign. That's just the way it is. Adam, I'm sorry, it's just too much noise. All that wind and stuff. It's just not good for business. And I think that the last days of a Republican, a true Republican, or even a moderate Republican in New York, those days are over. The people who have taken over that city, I mean, you have to think about it. Let's think about it. Over 80% of registered voters in New York City, the biggest city in the country, the capital of the world, 83% of registered voters didn't even bother to show up to the primary. With everything that is at stake, illegal immigration, high prices, people leaving in droves. In the last 5 years, they've hemorrhaged hundreds of thousands of people. The tax burden on the wealthiest in that city has grown exponentially over the last 5 years. Why? Because they have, one, too many immigrants, two, too many people who can't make ends meet. The tax burden on those people is overwhelming, and they're all leaving. And they're aged out. Don't forget that. Some people try to stay in their rent-controlled apartments on the Upper West and the Upper East Side, but everything else has become so dangerous they have to leave. They have to downsize. So what are they going to do? They're going to leave. And as consequential as it is to have somebody who understands those burdens, they didn't show up. They allowed the radicals, that 17%, to put this guy in the driver's seat. Unless it was all some psych, it was all some psych fake. Oops, we were faking it. We just wanted to put him in and then we wanted it back. I don't know. But 83%, that's a lot of folks. We had at least 46% in the gubernatorial race in Connecticut. At least I think it was like 43% of registered voters did not show up. And at a margin of 174,000 votes between the two, Stefanowski and Lamont. The fact that people are not engaging, knowing damn well that there are fiscal matters on the ballot that's going to make or break a city, maybe they don't care. Maybe some people are already looking at the front door. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe some people are just going, I'm not long for this place. Why participate? And that's happening because places like Tennessee, places like Texas, places like the aforementioned Florida, those places are growing in residents. And the beauty is, this is true, with the exception of towns like Houston and where's another one? Maybe a little bit of San Antonio. But many of these places are not bringing their politics with them. A lot of people have learned, it's like I'm always fascinated that it's very rare that Cubans come to Florida and then, after knowing what it's like to be under that regime, come to Florida and after 20 years go, I miss a little bit of that socialism. They never do. They never do. We never, ever see it because they recognize it and they teach it to their kids. It was so refreshing to see rapper Pitbull talk about that on some of these podcasts. I think he said it on that show Drink Champs, which is overwhelmingly hip hop and African American infused. He got on there talking about the importance of being American, the importance of capitalism and people embracing communism and socialism and how that's not a good thing, and talked about his father and talked about his uncle living in Cuba. That's a growing sentiment. So I don't know. It's likely. Lisa says, I love your show. It's the best part of my day when I'm driving home from work. I live in Tolland County in Connecticut. I'm happy to talk about state politics. I laugh every time I hear you're the president of the Chris Murphy fan club. I'd like to be a part of that fan club. Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate you, Lisa. Thank you. And thank you for listening on the drive home. I got another letter I need to read. I need to read it off the air as well. You know what? Let's go. Ralph is in South Carolina. Let me give him on a holler. He hasn't been on in a bit. How are you, sir?
Oh, just lovely, Reese. I'm glad New York's got that problem and we don't down here. Let me, they talk about the high cost of living in New York, Reese. What's the biggest part of it? Taxes, and more taxes.
Right. Yeah.
And this is the biggest part of your problem. What you're going to see, I may be wrong, but if this idiot gets elected and the people in New York are stupid, I mean, that they've proven that, you're going to have a traffic backup on 95 South so bad.
That's good. That's very likely.
Because these people with money, they're not going to stay there. They can go to Florida and not pay any income tax. Now, he wants to increase the taxes, which he doesn't have authority to do, income tax or on businesses. He has no authority to do that if the governor said none of those are being raised. So what's he going to do now with all his plans and no money?
I'll tell you what he's going to do. He's going to get a coalition, and I think this guy is that kind of radical. He's got the Mahmoud Khalil gene in him. And what he's going to do come November, if not before November, he is going to get the activists and protest class to march the streets of New York and demand that people pay extra for all of the goodies he's proposing. And people are going to leave anyway, and we're going to see bread lines in New York if he wins. I can guarantee you will see 70s-style mayhem. He wants to, listen, Ralph, he wants to decriminalize drug possession in New York and downsize the police by injecting social workers.
Yeah, what do you do if some poor woman gets raped? She calls a social worker?
Call a crackhead, apparently. Like
Is that how it works?
Yeah, and again, everything about this guy is, and I do believe this. This is what I believe. I really do believe that this isn't about some ideological bent that he or any of the others do. Truthfully, I believe their objective is to destroy the place that they hate. And what better spot than to destroy other than New York City, which is, again, we're talking about the business capital of the world. And this is going to, I say this at the risk of sounding controversial, Ralph. But look, I'm looking at the same group of people who last year were trying to rationalize Osama bin Laden's attack on the World Trade Center and our capital, and our state, in our country capital in Washington, D.C. We're looking at radicals who tried to explain away that carnage in a reasonable way. Oh, I read his manifesto and I kind of get it. Imagine those same radicals in charge in New York City finding a way to fundamentally break down New York City and turn it into a cesspool, a hellhole.
You remember Chuck Schumer's words to the Supreme Court? You start the wind, you reap the whirlwind.
Reap the whirlwind. That's all I think.
And
I think that there's a degree of terrorism in New York City that is going to happen through public policy, through guys like and supporters of Zoran Mamdani.
My personal opinion, if these keep pushing, these people, these nutcases keep pushing and pushing, you know, they call it the right, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of these days they're going to say, okay, it's time to push back. And it's not going to be pretty.
You know what?
I
think
feel that way.
Like I said, I don't think the people in New York who have the power to, I think that they are too ideologically afraid to push back on this. They have psyched themselves out that says any pushback appears privileged, appears Islamophobic, racist, classist, whatever the case may be, that they have been so brainwashed into thinking that their own self-preservation, right, their own preservation is a slight to those who are less, what do you call it, less privileged, that they will allow them, in essence, sort of like drop their everything that they own and leave it for them to just pick up and then walk away. I do believe that.
Yeah,
I really do.
Reese, how can anybody who calls himself an American vote for this scumbag?
Because they don't think that. Listen, they don't think that they're an American. There's a poll today, Ralph. There's a poll today that shows that Republicans are just under 100% proud to be American. Just under 100%. That the Democrat Party is polling in the low 30s about being proud to be an American. If New York is if we're talking New York being 84% liberal and Democrat, they don't care about this country and they are willing to destroy it just so they can feel better about themselves.
Well, they won't feel better about themselves when it hits the fan and it all falls apart and they're out of money and their fast buses don't go anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's true.
What are they going to do? What are they going to say then? Oops. Is that it?
Yeah, you're right. I don't know, sir. That's where they are. Thank you, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. Roland, we can take an intermission, pay some bills right now? I guess so.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take an intermission. We'll be back. Stay on the phones. Give us a call at 860-522-WTIC. It's Reese on the Radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
You'll get more than you expect with McValue at McDonald's. So when you've spent too much on a night out, get deals on the after party. When you've got date night, get deals on favorites that'll make you their favorite. And when you've got family for the weekend, we've got breakfast.
Having options tastes better. Enjoy a refreshing Coke Zero included in either the $5 Hot and Spicy McChicken Meal Deal or the $6 McDouble Meal Deal. Price and participation may vary. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hey, what's up, flies? This is David Spade. Dana Carvey. Look, I know we never actually left, but I'll just say it. We are back with another season of Fly on the Wall.
Every episode, including ones with guests, will now be on
video. Every Thursday, you'll hear us and see us chatting with big-name celebrities.
And every Monday, you're stuck with just me and Dana. We react to news, what's trending, viral clips.
Follow and listen to Fly on the Wall everywhere you get your podcasts.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
And now, a WTIC news update.
It's 3:30. Good afternoon. I'm John Silva. WTIC 1080 News. The Senate barely passed President Trump's budget bill today. The chamber pulled an all-nighter, after which Vice President Vance was needed to break a 50-50 tie. It now heads to the House for consideration there. Fairfield police are charging a psychiatrist with sexual assault. This following an incident involving one of his patients. Lazaro Pomerantzik is facing a fourth-degree sexual assault charge. He's free on $25,000 bond due in court July 10th. Man accused of stabbing to death a Fairfield prep student and injuring three others during a fight at a house party in Shelton 3 years ago was back on the witness stand today. Raul Valley says he feared for his life after he was being beaten. Jimmy McGrath died in that melee in May of 2022. President Trump says migrants would need to know how to run away from an alligator to flee the new detention center he visited in a remote area of the Florida Everglades. Trump toured the facility, getting a first-hand look at what the White House suggests will be especially secure given its dangerous natural surroundings. Jury deliberating at the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial asked to review critical testimony from one of the prosecution's most important witnesses, the disgraced hip-hop mogul's former longtime girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Jurors requested the testimony today, about 75 minutes into their second day of deliberations. And the 4th of July holiday will see millions traveling 50 or more miles from their destinations. The majority in Connecticut will drive, about 87%. Busiest travel times expected to be Wednesday and next Sunday. WTIC News Time is 3:31. Here's the forecast.
Well, the rest of our Tuesday, humid, turning cloudy. We'll have a couple of showers and heavy thunderstorms this afternoon. They could produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts, the high of 91. A thunderstorm on the prowl this evening that could still produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts. Otherwise, partly cloudy, warm and humid, the low only down to 71. Warm and humid Wednesday, overcast in the morning, clouds and sun with a thundershower in the area late in the afternoon, the high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up 455 points. The NASDAQ down 146, S&P down 2. Red Sox baseball on TIC tonight. Sox and Cincinnati, 6:10 the pregame here. Canada Day in Canada. The Yankees are just getting underway with the Blue Jays at Rogers Center. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
At Ayala Home Services, we handle hundreds of well water problems a year. We believe hearing your options to get water flowing in your house shouldn't cost a thing. That's why we offer free estimates for wells with no water. Plus, get your water back as soon as the same day. Contact the trusted well professionals at ALO Home Services when you call, click, or text today and say hello, ALO, call for details. Licensed for safety, HIC 628926, P1027768, S10406241, S330869, SM3004646, E1185643.
If you've been injured, you deserve more than what the insurance company offers you or thinks you're worth. When you get Carter, we'll help you get more. More experience, more attention, and more accessibility. People who hire an attorney get 3 times more on average compared to what big insurance offers them. Their job is to get you to take less. Ours is to get you more. If you've been injured, call the Carter Mario Law Firm at 877-GET-CARTER or head to getcarter.com to get more.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down. Get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Captid Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
The Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound. We use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't. Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hey, whoa, hold up. 100 candles on the cake? Who do you think's lighting this?
No, there wasn't any breaking news. That's my fault. I did it again. I do it every time.
Nobody didn't hear it.
Oh, okay, good. We're back. It's Reese On The Radio, NewsTalk 1080. WTIC. Craig in the car is in the chat room. Lori says, after the obliteration of New York City, it just might cure the city of being anti-Republican. And I doubt Donald Trump, the DOJ, with the overt communist anti-Semitism, may put federal dollars at stake too. Yeah, what I'm waiting for, Lori, and I think it's going to be interesting to watch in the coming days, is this lawsuit the DOJ has against Los Angeles. That's going to be interesting because that lawsuit is going after Los Angeles for protecting illegals over regular residents. And it's somewhat of a civil rights case, but in essence, it's ignoring federal law because that's what Los Angeles is doing. It's saying that we're not going to cooperate with federal law. The federal law is that illegals cannot be in the country. Now, we've had sanctuary cities across the country for a lot of years, but it has always been the federal government that has been, I would say, reticent to speak up, if not do anything about it. But after the actions of late, with the riots that were taking place in Los Angeles. Nothing could be more of a smack in the face to Donald Trump than to do that, knowing that he had a mandate by the American people when he got elected to get illegals out of the country, right? The massive deportation of illegals from the country for Los Angeles to stand defiantly the number 2 city in the country. You thumb your nose at the President of the United States, what do you expect? We're going to use every asset that we have legally to shut that down. Now, a place like Connecticut, maybe the president goes, William Tong, you talk a good game. You're suing me all over the place. You're trying to get some national attention. Maybe I could pimp slap him. Maybe we pimp slap him. You know what? Hey, here you go. We'll drag you into court as well. But I think what he's doing is this, and you'll see this. It'll resonate. If Donald Trump makes any headway with this lawsuit and embarrasses Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, what else is everybody else going to do? What's Justin Ellicker going to do? Nothing. He won't do a thing. He'll have to back down. And it would be nice to watch these people watch Karen Bass try to fight back and lose miserably. Federal government wins. And then ICE just rolls in and just starts hauling people out of the country. I don't have any problem with it. I will say this, and this is something to share just for the sake of. And there are a lot of people who are always talking about how, in fact, I think it was Van Jones who said after the 2020 election of Joe Biden, Van Jones was crying on CNN, as he always is. He's one of the crying Negro brothers. He was on there going, now, people like my sister, when they come out of Walmart, will be shouted down by people who support Donald Trump and call their names. People who have been emboldened by him. And that's what they were fearful of. Van Jones let sort of the cat out of the bag on this one. And that was what they were most concerned with, was that people were able to speak freely about the things that they didn't like that was happening in the country. They didn't like the fact that they were losing it. They didn't like the fact that people were pretty much crapping on the country and saying that people who had no sweat equity in it could come in and damage what people had built. And worst off, American citizens were made to pay for it. While they struggled trying to make their ends meet, other people were allowed to come into the country and they were just having dollars thrown at them. Hadn't been in the country 5 minutes, had thousands of dollars on credit and debit cards. Had food catered to them. And then imagine you wake up one morning and you find out that someone is staying in a luxury hotel that you had to save up for a year to spend in a couple of years ago. That illegals came into New York City and were staying at those hotels, be they Regencies or Hiltons, whatever the names were called. Hotels that usually cost about a good $200-300 a night. That illegals were staying in them and they had their food catered. And then you found out on the news that those sons of a brain surgeons were taking the food and throwing it in the trash, uneaten, and complaining that they didn't have more home food, like tostones or whatever the heck it is that they eat. Who cares? But they were throwing away good food that were provided to them with your tax dollars. And they were throwing them away. And they were leaving the hotel rooms a mess. And they were running amok, leaving beds and holes in the beds turned over, holes in the walls, and the places were a mess. And again, you had to pay for the cleanup. Imagine that. And you couldn't say a word. By you even uttering the fact that you had had enough, you were called racist and bigoted and had to shut up. And you wanted to talk about it online, the Biden administration were saying that had to take that down. Meta and Instagram and all that other stuff were citing you or putting you in what's called social media jail. All of that was happening while you tried to talk about those things with your community. Oh, and I didn't even tell you the best part. This one was one of my favorites. This was like a quick blurb in the news that no one talked about. I know I talked about it here. But once some traction got on it, it went away real fast. Anybody remember the story where they wanted the cell phone companies to monitor your text messages to your family and friends about COVID-19 or anything else that was happening in the country? Does anybody remember that? If you are saying to yourself right now, no way that's true, Reese, take me up on the challenge. I dare you. Yeah. That was a real conversation with Washington. To go into your cell phones to actually micromanage your personal text messages. To find out if you were talking about sharing information that was not agreeable to Washington. Yeah. What do you think the Disinformation Governance Board was all about? That was ironically called the DGB, sounding much like the KGB. What do you think all that was about? You see that? You hear that. I know you're hearing it. If you're hearing it for the first time, a lot of you are very savvy. I don't take you for granted. I know a lot of you know about that. But for those of you who never heard it before, who were saying to yourself, there's no way that's true, Reese. It just isn't. Okay. When you're not driving and you get home, if you remember it, go ahead, look it up. It's there. It wasn't just rumblings. Serious talk about it. And now, think about the place that you're in right now. Where now you can openly tell people about the things that you can't stand anymore. That you're sick and tired of being told that you can't say a word about. That every word that comes out of your mouth is to be cautioned by some group or some organization who, for some odd reason, has the audacity to believe that they have more power than you. That because they write a letter or because they show, I don't know, concern for the way that you see the world, that they have the audacity to believe that they have so much power that they can censor you or punish you in some sort of way. And finally, people are saying, enough is enough. I don't care what the consequences are. Can I make a weird, association here that a lot of people don't know? And a lot of people don't even investigate, but they should. A growing number of private businesses in this country in the last maybe 10 years have the impetus of all of them, or a large group of them, is in order to make them cancel-proof. Because once you own your own, no one can stop you. No one can stop you. Nobody can tell you what to think. Nobody can tell you what to say. That's why if you've seen a lot of these growing businesses, these small businesses that are going out of nowhere, growing out of nowhere. It's like, wow, that's a considerable amount of people. Remember, they were bragging about it during the Biden administration. That's a growing number of people who are starting their own companies. Yeah. Censorship proof. That's why. Let's go to Brian in Tallinn. Hello, Brian.
Hi, Reese. Two things. First one is, I think you have it wrong about the motivations of Mamdani's voters in New York.
Okay.
I don't think they want to destroy the United States.
Okay.
I think they want to remake it to have the rich pay more to support the poor. I think that's their view of a virtuous society.
You think it's that? You think it's as simple as not having in other words, having the winners pay for the people who cannot make it to the winner's circle.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, and if you look at who his votes came from, to the rest of the country, they look like they're the rich. They got expensive houses, they've got high incomes, but for New York City, they see themselves as struggling middle class, and they don't think that they're going to be the ones who have to pay for it.
Okay, all right, and I hear what you're saying, because now if I take consideration of what you mean, Brian, you are kind of saying, without saying, that there's an extreme naivete in this voting block. Yes?
Of course there is.
Okay.
I think liberals, by definition, are extremely naive.
Yes, right. But they can't know. I mean, naive, I'll accept. But they got to know, like, maybe I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. You tell me. I'm under the impression, even if they believe that about Mamdani, that they've got to know that at some point, when the wealthiest who can leave are gone, clearly the people you're talking about, his primary voting base, they become the victims of his ire, right? Because if indeed, like, let's say let's say that the top wealthy all are billionaires. They all decide to leave. So the next tier are the millionaires. If this particular group, his primary voting base, are the millionaires, he doesn't have the billionaires to pick on anymore. So obviously they're the next victim of his ire. So now they're attacked. Do they then realize it when they get overtaxed? Like, is it sort of like when it finally hits them, they finally recognize the error in their ways?
Oh, I'm sure that, there will certainly be things that would make them see the error in their ways. One of them is they just get older and wiser.
Right.
Which tends to happen.
Yeah.
A second is that they find themselves in the position of the people who they thought had it so easy.
Right.
My favorite example is George McGovern. I'm sure you remember him.
Sure.
George McGovern ran for president in 1972.
Mm-hmm.
He was the most liberal Democrat they could find. And he had been a senator, and very liberal senator, for a long time. When he lost for president, he left the Senate and he started a business. And he was quoted 10 or 20 years later saying, "Man, I never knew how hard business owners had it. If I had known when I was in the Senate, I might have had a different approach to the way I did things."
Wow.
So experience can change people's minds.
You know what? Like I said, how about this one? I'll ask you this, and then we'll go to a break. Brian, do you think that we are on a precipice of the total destruction of New York, or do you think that he'll make it so bad that it will be forced to come back from the brink?
I'm not sure we're on the precipice of destruction.
Okay.
But I think the problem that we have is that neither party, and that includes the Republicans, neither party is serious about doing things that will run the country well.
Okay.
They're each playing to their base and to the most ignorant, loudest, most inflexible parts of their base. And they're both making big mistakes. And it's affecting not just things like whether New York should have city-owned grocery stores, but whether this military that we have will even have the money to maintain its equipment, let alone to do operations that we want it to do. But we're not facing the choice of how much do we want them to be able to do, and what will it cost to do that?
Yeah, it's a good point. Fiscal responsibility has never been our strong suit, at least not in recent years. Good call. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, man. All right, let's take an intermission. We'll be back. Stick around. More news, more views, your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. It's Reese on the Radio on NewsTalk 1080. No?
Oh, shit, something wrong.
Uh-oh. That's okay. Well, if they can hear me, I'm still here. We probably have a freeze up. This is normally where we would take a break, but there's probably a system freeze. So we'll work on that. We'll figure it back out. Let me get my screen back open. You know what? Can I take Dave? I'll take Dave in Newington real quick while we figure it out. How are you, Dave?
Peace. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Listen, do you remember the TV show or the series The Sopranos?
Yeah, I was an in and out viewer of that show, so I hope you don't mention something I may not be familiar with.
Well, the last season, the character Phil Leotardo was talking to his grandkids, and he says to them, "When we came over to Ellis Island, our name was Leonardo, like Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay.
And they changed it to Leotardo. I don't know if you remember that scene.
No, I don't.
And then one kid says, "Well, why'd they do that, Grandpa?" Because they were stupid. That's why. And I'm gonna roll with that. As far as liberals, why do they do what they do? Why do they support a guy like they did in New York? Because they're stupid. I mean, I'm done pussyfooting. I'm sorry.
Right.
You're right. For years, you got to sit there and worry about what you say, who you say, cancel culture. So many people I know were Facebook jailed for what? For nothing. For basically stating things we know now they're correct, like ivermectin and the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've come to the determination they're stupid, and it's okay, and they're ignorant. And then when it comes to brain surgery, I'm extremely ignorant. I own that. That's fine. when it comes to you got to essentially I've got something I put up occasionally when I feel like it. It's a herd of sheep standing there looking all dumb, and the caption is waiting for the Democrats to tell us what to be upset over.
Yeah.
Liberals.
Yeah.
So you know what? It's ridiculous. Now the big beautiful bill, I guess, it passed the Senate today. And I'm listening to Chuck Schumer rattle on. I was flipping back and forth. I distinctly remember when he's talking about, they brought in the dead of night, blah 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 blah. Well, rewind a little bit, Chucky. Do you remember when Nancy Pelosi said, we've got to pass the bill first, then you can read it?
Yeah.
I didn't forget that.
Never.
So again, the hypocrisy is unreal. And you know what? Trump has proven to be more right than he is wrong.
Yeah.
And insofar as what he's doing, you may not understand what he's doing at the moment, but he's been right more times than he's been wrong. And I'm going to go really quick back to the bombing in Iran of that nuclear facility.
Yeah.
Now he told them within 2 weeks, I'm going to act on it.
Right.
He already pulled the trigger.
Right.
Okay. And it was already in motion. Now, I'm ex-military, and there's a statement out there that's called, you got to be there on a need-to-know basis.
Right.
The majority of the dodos out there have no need to know.
Right.
Okay? The bottom line, people that know what they're doing, and people are going to disagree with me, I don't care, whatever. But people that know what they're doing are doing what they're doing. And they've been vetted, I believe. Maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm ignorant. But the bottom line is, what happened soon thereafter, they did what they did. Oh my goodness, let's have a truce with Israel. Like the miracle of the loaves and the fishes.
Dave, let me interject real quick, because there's something very important you said about the need to know thing. And that's the part that people forget. There were so many people howling on television about what they weren't allowed to know before it happened. What they failed to realize was that for them, the commodity was arguing about what they didn't know. If they were told ahead of time, they would have used that same information as a commodity and told everyone. You know what I mean? Because the objective for them is that information for them, every one of them would have been itching to get it to a news outlet so that they can assist the news media in letting everyone else know what we were planning to do so that there can be an outrage about it. There's so much about that.
One thing I noticed, real quick, one thing I noticed about this term with President Trump versus the first term, he really cleaned house.
Sure did.
He got rid of all the Vindmans and all the other freaking people that were, whatever color underwear he's wearing, somebody was leaking it to the press. How many scoops of ice cream? Somebody was leaking it to the press.
I know that was a crazy one. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate you, buddy. Let's get our first check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. How we doing, buddy?
All right, Reese, thank you very much. And this traffic report is being brought to you by Columbia Implant Center in Manchester. If you're heading into Hartford right now, we have an accident on the right shoulder, 84 eastbound, just prior to 46 Sisson Avenue. Delays are back to 43 Park Road behind that. Once you get around that, easy ride into the tunnel. Westbound 84 slowing, approaching the Bulkley Bridge up to 47 Sigourney. Southbound 91's a little slow by 37 down to 36 in Windsor. Again, 34 down to 32 A and B in Hartford. Good ride 91 northbound, Cromwell up in Windsor. If you are traveling on the northbound side of I-91, look out. Looks like we could have an accident north of exit 40, between exit 40 and the Dexter Coffin Bridge. So you got some slow traffic there approaching 40 on 91 north. Route 2 westbound tight from exit 4 up to the 84 west merge in East Hartford. 291 eastbound slowing I-91 over to the Bissell. 9 northbound delays Harbor Park up to the Ericoni Bridge. 91 southbound a little slow. 17 in Meriden. If you're traveling in toward Waterbury right now, 84 eastbound some delays. 17 to 18 westbound 84 slows. 22 to the Mixmaster. And looks like we have a couple of accidents now. 9 northbound. One looks like it's between 32 and 34 on 9 northbound Berlin into New Britain, and another accident on the left shoulder as you move up on 9 northbound by exit 37, so delays there. Stuck in traffic again? Don't waste another minute. Columbia Implant Center in Manchester gets you in and out fast, often in just one day. Open 7 days a week. Get your smile back now. Columbia Implant Center, ColumbiaImplantCenter.com. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Well, the rest of our Tuesday, humid, turning cloudy. We'll have a couple of showers and heavy thunderstorms this afternoon. They could produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts, the high of 91. A thunderstorm on the prowl this evening that could still produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts. Otherwise, partly cloudy, warm and humid, the low only down to 71. Warm and humid Wednesday, overcast in the morning, clouds and sun with a thunder shower in the area late in the afternoon, the high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
WTIC is celebrating 100 years on the air and 100 years of serving Connecticut. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. The Hartford Board of Education is about to name its choice for school superintendent. A meeting being held at 5:30 at the Fox School. WTIC's Dave Mager has a preview.
This has been described as a thorough, open process with the Board of Ed contracting with a Texas-based consulting company. Meetings with the public were held in April. In January, outgoing Superintendent Leslie Torres Rodriguez said she was leaving after 8 years. She faced down the system's dire financial hurdles with hundreds of jobs eliminated. Her replacement will operate with a budget deficit that's recently been narrowed by additional funding provided by the city and the state. The selection process has not been without controversy, with Board of Ed member Shante Browdy claiming Mayor Arunan Arulapalam demanded too much input into the choice. Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News.
A psychiatrist is facing sexual assault charges in Fairfield. Police are charging Dr. Lazaro Pomerantic of Westport. This for the alleged assault of one of his patients. Police did not release any other details, including when the alleged assault occurred. He's charged with fourth-degree sexual assault, free on $25,000 bond, and due in court next week. Police say they do want to hear from anyone who may have been a potential victim. Vice President Vance cast the tie-breaking vote, and President Trump's budget bill passed the Senate today. Correspondent Cammie McCormick.
Majority Leader John Thune.
Republicans have been laser-focused on achieving the bill before us today. And now we're here, passing legislation that will permanently extend tax relief for hardworking Americans.
Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer.
In one fell swoop, Republicans passed the biggest tax breaks for billionaires ever seen, paid for by ripping health care away from millions of Americans, taking food out of the mouth of hungry kids.
The first hurdle out of the way. Now it's on to step 2.
Now that this is all wrapped up in the Senate, it obviously will go over to the House, but already we are hearing some concerns from members over there because the Senate version, while not dramatically different from what the House sent over, does have some significant changes, and it is taking a bit for some of these members to digest.
Correspondent Nicole Killian on Capitol Hill. Man accused of stabbing a Fairfield prep student to death in a 2022 house party in Shelton was back on the witness stand in Milford Superior Court today. Raul Valley facing charges. He stabbed Jimmy McGrath to death and along with 3 other teens who were injured in a brawl that broke out between rival high schoolers. Valley's defense attorney Kevin Smith questioned him in a way that suggests Valley acted in self-defense.
I kept flailing my arm around, just trying to get him away from me.
Were you aiming for anyone?
No.
Were you aiming for Ryan Hines?
No.
You weren't trying to kill Ryan Hines?
No.
What about Tommy Connery? You stabbed him 4 times in the leg. What were you trying to do to Tommy Connery?
Get them away.
He has pled not guilty to the charges of murder and assault. Jury could begin its deliberations possibly as early as this week. Wall Street, the Dow up 400 points, NASDAQ down 166, S&P down 6 points. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Life insurance. Are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
I didn't even hear you say that we were going up in a couple of minutes. I must have missed that. I'm over here watching a whole bunch of stuff on X and totally forgot. Anyway, stand by. A couple of minutes from now, we're going to have rapper Chris Rebby on the line. He's actually on hold right now, so we'll get him up in a second. Talk to him about the awareness he's trying to get to the herbicide called Dequat that is going to be put in the Connecticut River. Talking, I think this weekend, the 4th of July weekend. And I guess it was done quietly. There was really no reports about it. We haven't seen anything about it so far. But Chris Webby's trying to get anyone and everyone to listen to him and to contact everybody from Chris Murphy to Governor Lamont to get them to, one, tell us what they're doing, if not, put a stop to it. Because studies have shown that this herbicide Dequat from Cornell University says that its potential toxicity includes severe irritation, organ damage, and possible infertility in high doses, which we know will be used in high doses in the Connecticut River. So something needs to be done about it. We'll talk to him. I watched his video. I'm not going to play it for you. I really want him to convey it himself live since we have him here. So stick around for that. Do not miss it. Also, when we get back, we're going to talk about the stupidest thing I read today. Apparently, people in Hollywood are comparing illegals in the state to a very prominent figure in World War II. I'll tell you that story coming up as well. You don't want to miss it. Also, Justin Elliker was in the New Haven Independent and did an interview talking about education in the state of Connecticut. A story I find very, very odd coming out the mouths of Mayor Justin Elliker. We'll talk about that as well. To go nowhere. And plus, we'll take your calls at 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Also, before I forget, because I will, and I've forgotten over the last couple of days, I want to say congratulations to Catherine C. She is our recipient of a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe, located in South Windsor, Vernon, and Manchester. So if you'd like to win 6 months, a dozen bagels every month for 6 months, you got to go to reeseontheradio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. fill out that form. You must be from the state of Connecticut and have not won in the last 6 months to do that. Like I said, Chris Webby coming up shortly. Let's get another check of traffic and weather with Jason Caterina with weather and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Reese, thank you very much. Well, if you're westbound, 84 delays approaching the Bulkley Bridge out to 45 Flatbush Avenue. 84 eastbound is slowing from 43 Park Road in West Hartford up to just prior to 46 Sisson Avenue. An accident on the right shoulder there. Southbound 91, look for some slow traffic, 35 down to 32 A and B in Hartford. If you're traveling northbound 91, that looks good. Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. If you are traveling 291, 384, no problems. East of the river, 2 eastbound's okay. Glastonbury into Marlboro. 9 northbound slowing approaching Harbor Park up to the Aragoni Bridge. If you're traveling 9 northbound, look for delays now from exit just after exit 32 in Berlin up to between exit 36 and 37 in New Britain. An accident on the left shoulder there that's slowing you down. If you are traveling 84 eastbound in Waterbury, you've got slow traffic 17 to 18. Westbound 84 into Waterbury slowing 22 to the Mixmaster. And if you're heading 95 South New Haven, that's delayed from 46 down to 43 in West Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Some thunderstorms trying to make their way into the northwestern corner of the state up by Norfolk, but for the most part, it is quiet across the region thus far. Now, as we head through tonight, there will be a thunderstorm on the prowl this evening that could produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts. Otherwise, partly cloudy, warm and humid. The low only 71. A humid day for us on Wednesday. Overcast in the morning, then a mix of clouds and sun for the afternoon. The high of 86. Thursday, mostly cloudy, gusty thunderstorms in the afternoon that could produce some damaging wind gusts. The high of 91. Less humid, not as hot, and a beautiful day for 4th of July. Friday, plenty of sunshine, the high of 84. Filtered sun on Saturday. Air quality going to be poor for sensitive groups on Saturday, though. The high 86. Filtered sun again Sunday, but a hot day to round out the holiday weekend, the high up to 93. Right now, it's 88 in New Haven, 90 for Bridgeport, 92 in Bristol, and 91 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition, available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Hey, how'd you get your water heater fixed so fast?
Aiello Home Services, same-day plumbing. I gave them a call, and they had a plumber on their way. They even sent the plumber's real-time location, so I knew when they would be here.
Did you say same day? That's crazy.
If you need same-day plumbing, call, click, or text today and say hello, Aiello. Call for details. Licensed for safety. HIC 628926, P102776688, S104062441, S3308699, SM3004646, E1185643.
Men, the summer is here. Longer days, warmer nights, and romance is in the air. Intimate dinners, walks on the beach, dancing in the moonlight. But if you have erectile dysfunction, you know it can ruin romance, both for you and the one you love. This is Dale for Northeast Men's Health. And if you have ED, don't let another summer go by without getting treated, because intimacy is one of the greatest things in life. And fear of not being able to perform should not be something you have to deal with. At Northeast Men's Health, we're ED experts. We've successfully treated tens of thousands of men. Our protocols work when others don't, and we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. You could even last up to an hour or more and perform like you haven't in years. So call us. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-930-5956. That's 800-930-5956. Or go to northeastmenshealth.com. We have 6 offices across the Northeast to serve you, including our new office in Warwick, Rhode Island.
If you need to hire, process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
President of the Chris Murphy Fan Club, Reese on the Radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. Reese on the Radio. And as promised, ladies and gentlemen, give it up. I actually found this song by accident a couple of years ago. Looking for Connecticut rappers and MCs. None other than Chris Webby is on the line with us. Chris, pardon me. Let me get your phone line up here. Chris, thank you so much for being here on short notice, man. I love it when I contact a guy in 12 hours and he's on the air in less than that. I totally appreciate you, buddy.
There you go. There you go. How are you, my friend?
I am so fantastic. You are not a political person. And first, I want to say personal.
Well, I have my opinions.
No.
You know, I will say that. I've been quite outspoken in the past, but, you know, this particular issue is a little, it's not a political one, really.
Exactly.
You know, which is why I find it to be something that's interesting and everyone could really get behind.
Exactly. No, I just wanted to say on a personal level, I want to thank you for your appearance on Shade 45 with Sway back in 2018. Telling it like it is was probably one of the best freestyles I've seen in a lot of years. I want to say personally, as a hip hop fan, I thought that was a spectacular performance, which is why when I saw this video of you, I said, oh, this is that guy. I got to have him on. So talk to me a little bit. So DQuat is the problem here. It is being sprayed, or it's supposed to be sprayed this weekend in parts of Connecticut. From what I'm hearing from the Army Corps of Engineers, it is going to be in the Connecticut River in the southern part of Connecticut. And your concern about this is just like my concern, is that this herbicide has been rumored to do a lot of damage to not just the aquatic life, but to human life if they were to be exposed to it. As I said, Cornell University says that it's not just severe irritation. We're talking about organ damage, infertility, and they don't know how bad this is because there's no, there hasn't been any human testing allowed. There are restrictions on that, which was why it was brought to your attention. How did you learn about this?
Well, let me just correct you on just a couple things. In terms of the exact time of these sprayings, that is unknown. As far as public record, all that can be found right now is that it's going to be after the 4th of July.
Okay.
And in terms of where they plan on doing it, the Connecticut River isn't one that came up. The sites included that I was able to find: Chester Creek, Hamburg Cove, Selden Creek, Salmon River, Deep River, and Lake Pocatapog. In terms of what I was able to gather over here is just a guy, doing his due diligence.
You are 100% about all of those sites, but I will say, and I emailed it to you, I don't know if you got to it. This was the public notice that was sent by the Army. And on the first paragraph, it says the Connecticut River watershed, and then goes on to name those places that you brought up. In Hamburg, Joshua Creek.
And that's the thing about water, like bodies of water connect.
Correct.
One leads to another, and so on and so forth. It's really that's part of also what makes it such a big problem, even bigger than Connecticut. These bodies of water go elsewhere outside of state lines. Not to mention, we're not the only state where they plan on doing this.
Right.
And you asked before how I found out about it. I found out about it from a place they already did it. There's an Instagram page called Killing Caddo Lake, which is a lake that is in, it's partially in Louisiana, partially in Texas. And there's a gentleman in Texas who's been documenting the entire process, from them riding around in fan boats, spraying it, to the aftermath, which is honestly devastating to see. Dead turtles everywhere. All the plant life is dead. It's so horrific. And that's what, I just stumbled upon that page and was like, oh my God, this is awful. I love wildlife. I love nature. And to hear about that, I was like, you know what, let me see if they plan on doing this in Connecticut, because this is really bad.
Really?
And sure enough, when I type that in, ChatGPT is right at all of our fingertips. Whether or not AI is going to be a bigger problem in itself at some point, it'd be hard to argue against that. But for the moment, it's a real quick and easy way to find public record facts, certain facts that, in years past, you'd have to sift through political documents that are very long and very boring, and no one would ever do those things to find out some of this stuff and who's involved in it. That's all at the click of a finger now on all of our phones. So, I did a little detective work on my own, and then just started putting these pieces together and was like, oh my God. And before you even said this diquat or dequat, I've been calling it diquat.
Yeah.
I'm no expert.
Nor am I.
But you said it was rumored to be harmful. I think it's more than rumor. I mean, you just look at what it says as a safety warning, let alone seeing any other cases where this stuff has been used. And, once I made this post, you start getting a lot of people chiming in with firsthand experience.
Mm-hmm.
I thought one of the most interesting groups to hear from were the landscapers, who obviously are familiar with herbicides and things of that nature. And so many of them saying, "Oh, we don't even use that stuff. That's the nuclear option. That is like I wouldn't even want my neighbors using that."
Let me interrupt you, Chris. By the way, we got Chris Webby, rapper Chris Webby, local if not international MC on the phone. He was the one who got all of this attention. The guys who called the Wall Street Apes took your video and have spread it everywhere. It has gone like wildfire because, again, as you mentioned, it's not just Connecticut. You found it being used in other places. You watched another guy's video, and then literally like any other average gumshoe says, hey, I wonder if that's happening in my own backyard. It's interesting how when we get older, and we immediately, we concern ourselves with our own citizenry on whether or not this is going to affect us. Now, I will tell you this, and it's so crazy because I saw your video. Somebody sent it to me a day after. I think I got it. What's yesterday? Monday, right? So I got it Monday. And this is why I know that I don't believe in coincidences. I know God is real. So I get this video yesterday of you talking about this herbicide. On Sunday, I went to Home Depot, and bought that stuff Roundup to kill some weeds around there. I talked to the guy at Home Depot for 30 minutes to ask him how I should apply this, because I was concerned about using it as an herbicide. And then I get this notice that it's going to be sprayed in and around the trees in the waterways, which makes no sense when we know if you look at Roundup, if you spray it on your clothing, they tell you to put it someplace separate from anywhere else you have clothes, let it dry, and wash it separately from your laundry. That's Roundup.
Yeah, that Roundup is nasty stuff. You were asking the guy how to apply it. I would say not at all. I would say as far away from that as possible. It's got something in it called glyphosate.
Yeah.
And it's, in my opinion, they spray it, on the weeds on the road. They spray it on our food. And I see that as a major correlating factor between so many of these illnesses that are spiking up. It's a known carcinogen. Yeah. Now, the thing is, as bad as Roundup is, diquat is way worse.
Yes.
From everything that I can gather. And we are about to dump it spray it all over in 12 or more bodies of water in this state. And that just rings all the alarms in my head,
I think, look, the EPA secretary, who has been, in my view, he has been much better than we've had in the past. With all of and again, I don't understand this, how the EPA in any way are involved in this, knowing that we just had this. I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar with the class action lawsuit that was related to Roundup recently?
I know what Roundup can do. I'm not so familiar with the class action lawsuit, if you could inform me.
Yeah, it was a class action lawsuit in Roundup, which in essence, like the reason why Roundup has the warning labels that are on there now, like you get a booklet that's attached to the bottle of Roundup when you purchase it. The reason why that happened is because Roundup was secretly keeping the damage that it could do from its purchasers and from its buyers. And now they have to let everybody know the warning labels are extensive. If something sprays on you, again, if it sprays on your body, take off your clothing immediately, and you have to wash for 15 minutes in the shower immediately. And seek any a doctor's assistance if you cannot get to a shower within the next 15 minutes if it gets on your body. So because of that lawsuit, that Roundup had to make all of these provisions to make sure that you used it safely. This doesn't make sense that they would just spray it into our waterways and no one's talking about it, much less the governor. I mean, we're talking about a governor who is trying to get an EP mandate because we have to save the environment, who actually knows that this is happening in Connecticut, is saying nothing. Nobody finds that odd?
Well, I find it odd, but I also find it terribly familiar. I am a, self-appointed conspiracy theorist, and we don't need to get into all the things that I think on air, but I don't trust any of these departments. I think, the ones that are supposed to be in charge of our health are oftentimes the one, preventing us from finding the cures. I think the ones in this case set to prevent environmental damage are the ones, with the pen stroke to sign these things into action. An interesting thing about Diquat is it is a direct sister chemical to something called paraquat, which is banned in the United States. And both of them are close derivatives, cousins, let's say, of Agent Orange, which, a lot of people are familiar with that. Sure. If you're not, it's what they used during Vietnam to kill off a lot of the tree cover for, when the soldiers were going in. It was an awful war. And due to Agent Orange's usage, a lot of the soldiers came back here to the States and got really awful, horrific, quick-moving forms of cancer later in life. One of my uncles being one of them, who actually was in the scuba division. So kind of eerily familiar with this thing's going into our waterways. And, he got some type of rare cancer and died from it later in life. And now this derivative chemical, I'm not saying it's exactly Agent Orange, but for anything that even echoes of that to be sprayed. And I think it's also important to talk about why. It's not like they're just dumping this into the water for no reason. Sure. They are saying it's to combat an invasive aquatic weed called hydrilla, which is from Asia.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that weed is not a problem in and of itself. But from everything that I could find, there are other ways to combat it. Some eco-friendly, but I mean, at that point, even every other chemical on the list is a better option than Diquat.
Yeah, the fact that landscapers are referring to it as the nuclear option, and to be honest with you, because they understand this space better than anybody, having to use it in their job, because that's, again, its primary function is to eliminate weeds. On this kind of a scale, nationally, seems problematic. What inroads have you made, Chris, so far? Has anyone reached out to you? Have you been able to reach out to anyone? I know you gave a list of individuals that you wanted to, that you gave the rest of us to reach out to. What has been your...
none of them have gotten back to me. No word from Governor Ned Lamont or any of the others directly involved, which doesn't surprise me one bit. But I have been talking to a multitude of different people. I started a petition on change.org, which now, last I checked, it had over 3,500 signatures pretty quickly.
Wow.
So, I highly suggest anyone listening get on that. It's change.org/stopthesprayct. Not that petitions tend to work with these type of people, but I think it's important that we make our voices heard collectively on this, unanimously, united. This is not a divisive issue. This is about our clean water, our fresh water that we all rely on, and it just seems completely insane to put these chemicals into it. So, I think it started a lot of conversations. I heard some girl was trying to organize a protest tomorrow, I believe.
Okay.
In Hartford, which, and I think it's great. Like, at the end of the day, I'm very vocal about my thoughts on a lot of things, but I've never spearheaded something like this entirely on my own. So I do think it's important. I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm going to do everything I can. I have a loud voice. I'm very good at getting to the specifics and making people understand what I'm talking about, saying
Chris,
things the right way, getting through to folks.
Chris, hold on for a second. I've got to go to traffic and weather real quick. I want to bring you back on the other side. I'll wrap this up with you real quick. If you can hold on just for a minute.
Perfect.
You got it. We got Chris Webby, rapper Chris Webby of the Connecticut area on the line talking about this and much, much more with the D-Quad issue. Let's get to some weather, traffic, and some news. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Reese, thank you very much. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, everyone. If you're heading into Hartford on the southbound side of I-91, look for delays 34 down to 32 A and B. And again, a little slow by exit 28. Northbound 91 moving well. Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. Westbound 84 tied up 56 Governor Street out to 47 Sigourney. 84 eastbound seeing delays about a half mile before 46 Sisson Avenue into the tunnel. 2 westbound slows 1D up to the 84 West merge. 9 northbound slowing Harbor Park to the Aragoni Bridge. 9 north again slows from 32 in Berlin up to exit 37 in New Britain. We've had a bunch of accidents reported there. I know one in the left shoulder, so for some reason they keep piling up there. So use caution with that. If you are traveling into Waterbury, 84 eastbound slowing 17 to 18. Westbound 84 is tied up 22 into the Mixmaster. Traveling 95 south New Haven, you're slowing 46 down to 43 in West Haven. I'm Mark Christopher. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
For the rest of our Tuesday, it'll be hot and humid, turning cloudy. We'll have a couple of showers and heavy thunderstorms this afternoon that could produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts. Otherwise, the high up to 91. Then tonight, a thunderstorm on the prowl this evening that could still produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts. Otherwise, partly cloudy, warm and humid. The low only 71. Warm and humid on our Wednesday with overcast in the morning, then clouds and sun with a thunder shower in the area late in the afternoon, a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
And now, a WTIC news update.
4:30, good afternoon. I'm John Silva. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says Republicans got the job done in passing President Trump's bill of tax breaks and spending cuts. Vice President Vance broke the 50-50 tie for Republicans. After a tense overnight session, the bill now heads to the House for consideration there. In Hartford, the city's Board of Education going to announce who the next school superintendent will be. 5:30 special meeting at MD School Auditorium. Dr. Leslie Torres Rodriguez is moving on after 8 years on the job. Another day on the witness stand for the man accused in the stabbing death of a teen during a fight that broke out at a Shelton house party 3 years ago. Raul Valley's attorney claims his client used the knife in self-defense. Valley has pled not guilty to murder and other charges. In Fairfield, police there have charged a psychiatrist with sexual assault of one of his patients. Dr. Lazaro Pomeranczyk of Westport faces a 4th-degree sexual assault charge. He is free on bond due in court next month. Jimmy Swaggart, the televangelist whose multi-million-dollar ministry crumbled by his encounters with prostitutes, has died. He was 90. The Louisiana native best known for being a captivating Pentecostal preacher and a massive following before being caught on camera with a prostitute in New Orleans in 1988. One of several TV preachers of that era brought down by sex scandals. And many citizens heading out for their 4th of July holiday already. AAA says in Connecticut, about 848,000 people will travel 50 miles or more. The majority will drive. Wall Street, the Dow finished up 400 points today. NASDAQ gained 166, and the S&P was up 6 points. Cincinnati and the Red Sox game 2 of their 3-game series at Fenway, 6:10 with the pregame here on the radio. Yanks on Canada Day in Toronto. They lead the Blue Jays 2-0. That's top 4. And the Mets start a series tonight against the Brewers at Citi Field. Eastern League, Yard Goats open a series against Binghamton at Duncan, 7:10 on the Odyssey app. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, mortgage and other bills. With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Okay. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you.
Here we go.
Credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Stay locked in. Reese on the Radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
We're going to bring back in Chris Webby in a second because we're going to go, of course, in the next minute or so back to weather and traffic on the 8s, which we'll do. But I want to give you this heads up on the hydrilla problem that this DQuat is supposed to alleviate us from. According to this, it says hydrilla is an invasive aquatic plant that can negatively affect local ecosystems. It forms dense stands underwater and can alter river flow, shade, or crowd out all other native aquatic plants. Replace habitat of sensitive species after alter water chemistry and pH, cause dramatic swings and reduction in dissolved oxygen levels, increase water temperatures, and negatively affect the diversity and abundance of fish populations. Hydrilla also has negative impacts on recreation, including making it more difficult or even potentially dangerous for boating and swimming due to denseness of growth. Hydrilla grows in long, easily fragmented strands, which readily spread and develop into new plants. Now, okay, all of that taken into consideration, and I know Chris can hear me, so I know he's got a lot to say about what I'm telling him. But here's the other part, because it tells you what hydrilla is, and I found this interesting. Hydrilla was first discovered in the United States in the 1960s in Florida. Since then, it spread to many parts of the U.S. Hydrilla can grow in a wide variety of water conditions, high and low nutrients, high and low, turbidity, and variable pH, up to 7% salinity, and water temperatures. Unlike most native aquatic plants, hydrilla is capable of growing under extremely low light conditions. So this is something that we've known about since the 60s. It has been in the Connecticut area for a considerable amount of time, and no one has done anything with it. And now it's become completely overbearing. And they have decided, as Chris Webby has just said, according to landscapers, are now deciding the nuclear option. So I don't think that that's feasible. And I'll just say it this way. I don't think it's a reasonable ask for everyone to put their livelihood in danger for the sake of inaction by the local, if not federal government. You've known about it since the 60s. You know what it can do. I'm sure plenty of people know what it's done here in Connecticut, and this seems like a last-minute option. We'll get more into that. Chris Webby's coming back on the other side of the break. Let's get to some weather and traffic again with Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Reese, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, everyone. If you're heading into Hartford right now, you're on the southbound side of I-91. You got some delays, 33 down to 32 A and B. And again, you're slow a little bit down by exit 28. Hartford Weathersfield line. Northbound 91 is moving very well. Cromwell up into Windsor. Westbound 84 slows. East Hartford approaching the Bulkley Bridge at 47 Sigourney. 84 eastbound's tight about a half mile before 46 Sisson Avenue into the downtown tunnel. 2 westbound's a little slow. 1D up to the 84 west merge. 9 northbound slowing from Harbor Park up to the Aragoni Bridge in Middletown. 9 northbound again slowing 34 up to 37 New Britain. We have an accident reported there. 84 eastbound Waterbury slowing by 18. 84 westbound in Waterbury slows 22 up to the Mixmaster. Heading toward New Haven, 95 southbound delays 46 down to 43 in West Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
All right. Well, we do have a few showers and thunderstorms making their way into the northwest corner of the state, but nothing in our area as of yet. For tonight, watch for a thunderstorm on the prowl this evening. Some of those could produce some flooding, downpours, and localized damaging wind gusts. Otherwise, partly cloudy, warm and humid. The low only down to 71 tonight. Warm and humid for us on Wednesday. Overcast in the morning. Clouds and sun for the afternoon at the high of 86. Thursday, mostly cloudy. A gusty thunderstorm in the afternoon could produce some localized damaging wind gusts. A hot day. The high jumping up to 91. Gorgeous weather for 4th of July Friday. Less humid, not as hot. Plenty of sunshine, the high of 84. And then over the weekend, filtered sunshine both day. Air quality is going to be poor for sensitive groups on Saturday, the high of 86. And a hot day to round out the holiday weekend on Sunday with the high jumping up to 93. Right now, 90 Danbury. It's 81 in New London, 90 for Mansfield, also 90 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Looking to retire with confidence? Get the answers you need. Tune in to Wall Street Sweeper with Russ Hackman. Sunday mornings at 9:30 on NewsTalk WTIC AM. Strategies, insights, and smart retirement talk. Don't miss it. Join us this Sunday for Tumalo Financial, your go-to for retirement planning and taxes. Tune in to the father-son duo from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. or catch replay from 5 to 6 p.m. Tumalo Financial, retirement planning with integrity on WTIC News Talk 1080.
At Aiello Home Services, we love the opportunity of meeting our customers' pets. That's why we partnered with the Pack Leaders Rescue of East Hartford and the Wallingford Animal Shelter to help animals find the homes they deserve. To help these animals and fix your home's plumbing, heating, AC, electrical, or drains, call, click, or text and say hello, Aiello. Call for details. Licensed for safety. HIC 628926, P102776888, S10406241, S3308699, SM3004646,
How long we got?
E1185643.
Wesley,
like 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090.
At California Psychics, we know that sometimes you can wake up thinking,
I don't know if I'm in the right career, or the right relationship.
but whatever your life dilemma, at California Psychics, we'll give you the guidance you need to feel certain about your life choices. And because we only
We got a
connect you with
partial
the very
verdict on the
best,
Diddy trial.
We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing,
Oh, they did?
Yep.
free. California Psychics.
So how many years he going away for?
No. Partial
Today,
verdict.
and
Partial
get
verdict.
20
They're not
minutes for
revealing
just
it yet.
$20.
Oh, okay.
Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
We all hear the radio IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what that is.
Okay. Want me to just go up?
You got to wait 10 seconds.
Okay.
These dudes keep rebooting stuff in the engineer room. So I don't know what's going on.
Is that what's going on? All right, folks, be patient.
All right, here you go.
All right. Okay. Anyway, we're back. I've got Chris Webby on the line, and I appreciate his patience. Chris, let me get you up. And Chris, unfortunately, only because I'm doing this because you are a rapper and you're in the industry, and we do have breaking news. Chris, let me tell you right off the bat, do not co-sign what is about to come out of my mouth. According to New York City in the trial of Sean P. Diddy Combs, they do have a verdict on count 2, 3, 4, and 5. There is no verdict, or let's say a conflicting verdict. It's not in they're not in consensus on the verdict for racketeering and conspiracy, charge number 1. They have come with a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, racketeering being the most severe, conspiracy also being most severe. That means that sex trafficking, they do have a verdict on. If you don't want to opine about that, Chris, that's fine. Let's get back to our subject matter. Are you there, buddy? Are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. I just got a note from someone who said, well, there's several notes, and I'm getting a lot from this, so I want you to hear this. We're talking about the herbicide called Dequat with Chris Webby. And Glenn sent me a message and says, hey, Reese, I have a family member who used to work on the watershed programs for a long time. He's recently retired. He sent me an article about this. He said it's not a unanimous decision that everyone wants to use this product, and it's being watched closely as an experimentation. Another person in the chat room named Dan E. says, I'm a member of every single fishing Facebook group in Connecticut and a couple of fishing clubs and conservation groups. He says, hydrilla is an awesome habitat for fish, bait fish, and predators. He says, remove the hydrilla and the fish and the fishery suffers. So there are people who are not under this impression that hydrilla is cumbersome or dire to the environment. Had you heard anything?
Well, it's been here for so long, like you were saying, that, of course, our native species have adapted to live amongst it.
Exactly. We're talking, 60 years?
That's a very long time.
Yeah. And it's interesting, the article that I'm reading, Chris, says that the reason why it spread to places like Connecticut, remember, it comes out of Florida and it's in Connecticut. Here's how crazy this hydrilla is, or how, I would say, how pervasive it is as a plant. It can actually grow in other regions by just being caught up in like movements of the wind. So like if pollen of this particular plant travels upstream, like up the 95 corridor, it then adapts itself to its new region. So if it comes out of Florida and pollen of this particular plant gets into Georgia, now it's a Georgia plant, and so on and so on. So that's how this has gotten up to Connecticut. And that is since 1960 that we've seen it grow all the way up. We're talking about a good, 2,000 miles this plant has traveled.
It's a wild thing. Seems like something maybe we got to learn to live with and keep in control and maybe not poison all of our water over. I also don't like the word experiment
Yeah.
used in something as serious as using diquat in our fresh water system. That bothers me. Also, you got to think, first of all, Senator Blumenthal raised $5 million for this specific invasive aquatic plant initiative, right?
For the
So,
removal, $5 million?
Yeah, $5 million for this year. I believe he's aiming to raise 25 for a 4-year plan beyond this. And what they've settled on is this diquat poison, and it's an experiment. It's something that's proven to do harm to ecosystems, humans, everything. Yet at the same time, my question is ultimately, why is everyone hearing about this from me? I'm a hip hop artist from the state. Why did we not hear about it from them? Why so quiet? Why was there no discourse? Why was there no discussion about options? Why do some people who are watching the watershed, like you just said, people who are deeply involved in this stuff, why do they say it's something that people haven't all agreed on, yet there's a plan to start doing it after the 4th of July?
Yeah.
These are all very worrisome signs to me.
Yeah, and as you put in your post, on your X post, the fact that people are, fundraising off of this, getting money for it and lining their own pockets, and at the same time keeping the public in the dark about it, screams of everything shady you've ever thought about your government. And listen, Chris, let me tell you something. I love the fact that, you've been outspoken in things that you've even admitted. So I was like, hey, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a hip hop artist. Listen, do not diminish yourself in all of this, because you had a role to play in this just because you saw something and decided in a whim, hey, let me find out if that's happening here. And now in some weird way, you become an activist about this. And you don't have to be an activist in anything or everything for that matter. But this is an important enough thing for you to be involved in. And we all appreciate you for bringing it to our attention, because this could be changing people's lives, if not ending them, if we don't do something.
And it's bigger than just Connecticut. This is something, like I said, it's already being done in some places. It's planned to start in others. And we're just living in a time where we're being poisoned from every direction: the food supply, the air, obviously the water. I just feel like I'm not the only one who sees this, and I'm not the only one who's having one of those enough is enough moments. to imagine people riding around in boats in our freshwater bodies, spraying something so poisonous directly into our fresh water supply in this state makes me sick to my stomach, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And if we can stop it here and make a clear message and have me, sure, I'll spearhead it. I'll be the voice. I'll be the face of it. I have fans all over the country. I have fans all over the world. And if I can bring eyes on this here in Connecticut, hopefully we can do something here, and that can spark some change elsewhere, man, because it's not divisive. It's not political. It's not really something where there's another side to the argument, in my opinion.
Yeah, couldn't
We're talking
agree.
about poisoning our fresh water.
Yeah, exactly. There is nothing, this is I saw that in your video as well, is that if there's anything in the world that can unite us, regardless of our political stripes, this is it. This is one of those moments. There's not one guy who can be in opposition to this for the sake of being opposition to it. This affects every life. And again, it's not just because it's a local issue. From what we know now, this is going to be everywhere. And if no one knows, it happens without us knowing. And that could be dire to us. We'll all wake up one morning. Right. We're all going to wake up one morning and ask, hey, why do I have cancer? Hey, why is my mom sick? Or my daughter, for that matter. Right. So, yeah, it's so important that you do that. I just wanted to let you know, Chris, as you said, you got fans around the world. You're in the business. You didn't have to come here to the local show, but I thank you for being one of our local owns and for bringing attention to us, man. You are a hero in my book. I celebrate you. I will continue to, and thank you so much, because your people contacted me, but then when I got your email, I was like, what a cool dude to at least follow up and let me know, hey, man, can't wait to be there. So thank you. You are a Great
Thanks
guy.
for having me, man.
It's my pleasure to have you here. Whenever you need, let me know. Whatever you're promoting, whatever you got going on, please get in touch with me as soon as you can.
For sure. This one ain't about me, though, and I just encourage everyone listening to just keep spreading the word on this. Apply pressure in every direction. This one, it's not the big federal government that's out of reach. This is our guys here in the state of Connecticut. We got the names. We know the people. It's time we start holding the policymakers accountable, in my personal opinion.
You got it. Thank you, Chris Webby. It's a pleasure, sir. Thank you again for giving us the opportunity.
Thanks, man.
You got it. So, look, go to Chris Webby's page on X. I will post it again on how to get in touch with him, or to at least get in touch with the folks he wants everyone to reach out to, from the governor's office to Blumenthal, who, again, as he said, is fundraising off of this in getting this D-Quad into the waterways. Again, I don't understand it. It is absolutely insane, in my view, that with all of the talk about the environmental problems in this country, if not the globe, that people would think about spraying this on plant life and in the water. I call me crazy. Let's go to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Josh is in Southington. Hello, Josh.
Reese, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. What do you got for me, sir?
Hey, so this is something that came to my attention about a week ago and everything, and I'm a fisherman. I'm an outdoorsman.
Okay.
And I've been paying attention to it. So I reached out to a coworker of mine today after yesterday doing some research and finding out where they're actually going to be spreading this DQuat, which is illegal in multiple nations throughout the world. But one of them is Lake Pocatapog, or forgive me, I'm not a local enough to pronounce it properly.
I'm with you there, buddy. I'm with you.
Yeah. I said Pocatapog, and the guy that I work with, I was telling about, he told me something totally different. And I'm like, we're speaking different languages. So he told me, he said, well, that's really interesting because just a couple of days ago, he saw a young man with a deep truck that had a pump that was pumping water out of the lake and back into it, and he was dumping buckets of chemicals in.
Really?
And they've done this before for certain other things in the lake and everything. And he asked him about what it was for, and the kid goes, "Oh yeah, no, this is not for that." And it was right next to a public beach swimming area on the lake. It was right next to it. And when I told this guy who lives, he doesn't live directly on the lake, but he lives right next to it. And they have a boat. They're out on the lake from his account almost every day. They had no idea.
Yeah,
And I said, dude, I'm calling you right now to let you know, this is what I've heard, and maybe just look into it a little bit and find out about this before you and your kids go swimming and water skiing and everything else out in the lake.
Lori, by the way, is assisting us in how to pronounce the name of the lake you were talking about. She says that you pronounce it. I'm going to do it with you. It's Pocatapog.
Pocatapog?
Pocatapog. Pocatapog. That's how you say it.
It sounds closer to what he said. Although I think we're both. I think we're both still going to be shunned.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, yeah. You know how the New England, man, they are like that. I remember the first time when I was at WRKO in Boston, I said Haverhill, and the crowd went nuts. And I was like, what did I do? And they went, it's Haverhill. It's Haverhill. And I went, I'm sorry, man. I'm just reading what it says.
Can't do that. I grew up with my grandmother being in Needham.
Yeah.
And you would have never ever guessed that's how you. Nope.
Exactly.
You say it the right way.
You say it the right way, or they will make you pay for it.
You have no business of being there.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it.
The reason for the call, Reese, is that he said that this was happening I spoke to him earlier today. He said that this happened yesterday.
Okay.
So what you were reporting with Chris Webby, who I saw his thing on Facebook. I saw his thing, and God bless him for stepping outside of his norms.
Yeah.
And everything and addressing this. But this was online, as you stated earlier. This is going to be happening after the 4th of July.
Yeah, and we need to get on it because this is dire right now. Josh, I got it.
Yeah, I can't confirm that that's exactly what they were doing yesterday, but he told me that he was there, saw it firsthand, had the conversation yesterday.
We got to get on this. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you. Let's get another check of our weather and traffic, and of course, bottom of the hour, top of the hour news. I keep saying bottom. With John Silva. We got Jason Catarina with weather and Mark Christmas in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. Well, westbound 84 tied up approaching the Bulkley Bridge out to exit 47. Sigourney Street 84 eastbound slowing, approaching about a half mile before 46th Avenue into the tunnel. If you're at 91 southbound, you're slowing in Hartford 33 down at 32 A and B, and again down by exit 28, Hartford Weather Seal line. Northbound 91 moving well Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. 291 eastbound slowing I-91 over to the Bissell Bridge. 2 westbound tight East Hartford, 1D up to the 84 West merge. 9 northbound, you've got delays 34 in Berlin. Up 34 in New Britain, up to 37 in New Britain. We have an accident on the left shoulder there causing lots of curiosity. 84 westbound in Waterbury, some slow traffic, 22 to the Mixmaster. If you're heading down into New Haven, 95 southbound delays 46 down to 43 in West Haven. Down in Old Lyme, Route 156 shut down in both directions at Center Beach Avenue because of a truck versus utility pole accident there. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Well, the rest of our Tuesday, humid, turning cloudy. We'll have a couple of showers and heavy thunderstorms this afternoon. They could produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts, the high of 91. A thunderstorm on the prowl this evening that could still produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts. Otherwise, partly cloudy, warm and humid, the low only down to 71. Warm and humid Wednesday, overcast in the morning, clouds and sun with a thunder shower in the area late in the afternoon, the high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina in the WTIC Weather Center.
WTIC is celebrating 100 years on the air and 100 years of serving Connecticut. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
It's 5 o'clock, Hartford temperature 90 degrees. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Litchfield County. The budget bill that came out of the Senate now headed to the House for consideration. Linda Kenyon reports.
President Trump heard the news while he was in Florida, touring a new detention center for deportees.
Oh, thank you. Wow. Thank you.
Passage in the Senate did not come easy, but the president says he's optimistic the House will pass it, and very soon.
I think it's going to go very nicely in the House. Actually, I think it will be easier in the House than it was in the Senate.
Senate Republicans made several changes to the bill, something House Speaker Mike Johnson has warned could complicate passage in the House. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
The Connecticut Office of Inspector General has issued a report on an incident last January in which a Windsor police officer discharged his firearm at a suspect. It was January 30th that Officer Brandon Thomas was checking out a vehicle parked at a Windsor Street gas station whose license plate number came back registered to a different vehicle. A foot chase ensued after two people exited the store. Giovanni Nunez ran off into Keeney Park. Thomas ordered him to stop or he'd be tased, but the officer pulled and fired his duty weapon once instead of the taser. The IG's report says the use of deadly force was not justified, and a warrant for Officer Thomas's arrest has been obtained, charging him with unlawful discharge of a firearm and reckless endangerment. Arguments over immunity deals disrupted some testimony during the Shelton House Party murder trial in Milford Superior Court today. Raul Valley has pled not guilty to murder and 3 assault charges, all tied to the death of Fairfield prep student Jimmy McGrath and the stabbings of 3 other teens after a melee between rival high schoolers broke out at a party in 2022. Valley, on the stand, told jurors his take of immunity deal to testify in the case and not his client. Senior Assistant State's Attorney Mark Durso took issue with that.
The jury can infer he's not under an immunity agreement because he's charged with homicide and 3 counts of assault. So really, the question is inflammatory. He's being prosecuted.
A judge allowed a variation of the question to be asked. Jury deliberations could begin this week once closing arguments begin on Thursday. Psychiatrist facing sexual assault charges in Fairfield. Police are charging Dr. Lazaro Pomerantz of Westport, this for alleged assault of one of his patients. Police didn't release any other details, including when that alleged assault occurred. He's charged with 4th-degree sexual assault, free on $25,000 bond. Police say they want to hear from anyone who may have been a potential victim. President Trump visited the new Florida immigration detention known as Alligator Alcatraz today.
The reality is that the administration needs more detention facilities to keep up with its very aggressive deportation program and detainment program. They say they actually want about 100,000 more beds as they continue to round up unauthorized migrants.
That's correspondent Nancy Cortez. Expect plenty of company if you're heading out for the 4th of July period. AAA says nearly 849,000 nutmeggers will travel 50 miles or more, a 2.3% increase over last year. The vast majority will drive, says Greater Hartford AAA's Tracy Noble. For those who do fly, Noble has this advice.
Getting there early is definitely the way to go. Waiting to the last minute and trying to rush through your airport doesn't do anybody any good. So give yourself the extra time. Make sure you have all of your documents ahead of time, and make sure you know that those in the party that you're traveling with have all of their documents as well.
Busiest time to travel expected to be noon to 9 p.m. tomorrow and noon to 6 p.m. on Sunday. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Slow?
Long.
Backed up? Don't worry. ALO Home Services has you covered. For only $93, our technician will clear any drain in your home. And if it can't be cleared, it's free. Call for details. Licensed for safety. HIC 628926, P102776688, S104062441, S3308699, SM3004646, E1185643.
You'll get more than you expect with McValue at McDonald's. So when you've spent too much on a night out, get deals on the after party. When you've got date night, get deals on favorites that'll make you their favorite. And when you've got family for the weekend, we've got breakfast.
Having options tastes better.
Yeah, Tim.
Coke Zero included in either the $5 hot and spicy McChicken meal deal or the $6 McDouble meal deal. Price and participation may vary. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the Radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
So, of course, I'm covering this P. Diddy thing as much as I possibly can. They're saying that the jury has reached a partial verdict, if you're just joining us, on his trial. If I'm going to take one of those, shots at it in the dark as a guy who graduated from Law and Order University, I did. I did. I graduated from there with honors. I'm going to say that if they could not find or come to a verdict on racketeering and did come with a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, which include sex trafficking and trafficking for the sake of prostitution and coercion, I'm going to go with they found him guilty on those. And I'll explain why. Because the racketeering is the most serious, right? Now, if he's not guilty of the lesser ones, you wouldn't have confusion with the top one. You see what I'm saying? Like the top charge doesn't make sense for you to be deliberating and not being able to come to a conclusion. It's far more complex, at least to the jury. They are indicating that whether or not he was racketeering, they don't know whether or not the prosecution met its burden of proof. Some people say yes, some people say no. But the other charges, coercion, sex trafficking, some of the witnesses were prostitutes, male prostitutes, who Cassie openly admits that she was in conflict with. They have her on tape cursing somebody out, whom was paid for sex. That's what's in there. So I believe that the other 4 counts, guilty, and the judge is going to allow them to be, I guess, I don't know, hung jury on the last count. That's all I'm saying. Also, Lori says that Carl Higbee on Newsmax is going to be talking about what Chris Webby and I were talking about, and he's got a guest on tomorrow. Yes, Lori, the guest is Chris Webby. He'll be on there tomorrow. We got the jump on now. Applaud me. Let's get another check of weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. Oh, damn, thank you.
Take a bow. Take a bow.
I'm trying.
Reese, thank you very much. Good afternoon. This traffic report being brought to you by Columbia Implant Center in Manchester. And if you're heading into Hartford right now, westbound side of 84 delays approaching the Bulkley Bridge out to 45 Flatbush Avenue, 84 eastbound slowing approaching 46 Sisson Avenue down to the Bulkley Bridge. Southbound 91 delays 33 down to 32A and B. And a little bit down by exit 28. Northbound 91 easy ride Cromwell up into Windsor Locks. 291 eastbound's tight coming off of I-91 over to the Bissell Bridge as you head into South Windsor. 2 westbound just slowing as you merge with 84 west and East Hartford. 9 northbound Middletown slows Harbor Park up to the Aragoni Bridge. Sluggish 9 northbound 34 up to 37 in New Britain from an earlier accident. So look out for that. That was on the left shoulder. Westbound 84 is a little slow. 22 up to the Mixmaster in Waterbury. If you're heading on the southbound side of 95 New Haven, a little tight, 46 down to 44 in New Haven. Traffic got you down. Turn that frown upside down at Columbia Implant Center in Manchester. They offer fast, efficient dental implant procedures completed in a single visit, open 7 days a week for your convenience. Don't wait. Visit ColumbiaImplantCenter.com. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
All right, we got some showers and thunderstorms again moving into the northeastern or northwestern corner of the state right now. Some moving over Heartland, Cornwall, heading toward Torrington and over Salisbury. As we head through the evening, thunderstorm on the prowl. Some of those could produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts. Otherwise, partly cloudy, warm and humid. The low only 71 tonight. Warm and humid for us on Wednesday. Overcast morning. Then a mix of clouds and sun for the afternoon. The high of 86. Mostly cloudy, gusty thunderstorm Thursday afternoon. They could produce some localized damaging wind gusts. The high of 91. Friday, beautiful day for 4th of July. Less humid, not as hot. Plenty of sun. Great weather to celebrate Independence Day. The high of 84. Saturday, filtered sun. Same for Sunday. Air quality going to be poor for sensitive groups on Saturday. The high 86. Then hot to round out the holiday weekend Sunday with the high of 93. Right now, 92 Bristol, 88 New Haven, 87 Bridgeport, and 91 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort, offering small ship experiences with a shore excursion included in every port and programs designed for cultural enrichment. Discover more at Viking.com. That's Viking.com.
Reese on the Radio is getting ready to drop some knowledge on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Drop it. Of course, I got thrown for a loop. I'm trying to figure out whether or not the judge is going to make them go back and fight it out on the first charge. And it doesn't look like it's, I don't know, it looks like it might happen. They got to come back with a count for everything, or this is just going to be up in the air. Whether or not they decide on doing something, who knows. Anyway, let's get back to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Craig is in the car. Craig, what's going on, sir?
I'm breaking my own rule. You started talking about Diddy, and I didn't change the channel or hit the mute button. But the reason for that is because I do care about what goes on in this state, and this is disturbing about the chemicals going into the water. I want to give you some perspective. So I am currently boatless, but I spent the last 25 years boating on the Connecticut River.
Okay.
All of these locations that he was talking about are in my backyard.
Wow.
And for geographic perspective, the places he's talking about, the Chester Basin, is directly across the river from Hamburg Cove. And Hamburg Cove is only half a mile south of Selden Creek. Hamburg Cove and Selden Creek are the two biggest areas for people to anchor, swim, get on their tubes. There's people in the water there all the time. So my point is, it's a very close area where they're talking about dropping all these chemicals. It's not like Hartford, Middletown, Old Lyme. These are areas that if you're standing on the shore, you can see all three at the same time.
Wow.
And there's people in the water every weekend. It's like the go-to destination on the Connecticut River to just anchor, cook, play music, swim, fish, whatever you want to do. I sent you the contact from Melissa. Reach out to
Already
her.
did.
That's her district.
Already did. I did it during the commercial break. Sent her a message.
Good. She's a good friend of mine. She's good people. This is the first I've ever heard of this stuff. I mean, I've swam in Hamburg Cove hundreds of times.
Here's the crazy part, Craig. Let me read this to you. So I have this letter. It's supposed to be from, it's called Public Notice. In reply, referred to Keith Hannon. And it says the email headline is Connecticut River Hydrilla at United Corps of Army Engineers, that whatever. Right, Planning Division. The date of this says June 11, 2025. Comment period closes July 13th, 2025. According to the person who sent it to me today, says that the Army, the U.S. Army, released this today after Webby started making it public. But they've had this since June 11th. And no one was supposed to know about it. So then I get this thing. It says, and this is what's supposed to happen whenever anything's done in your town, there has to be a public comment period. So what is this thing? It's called the 30-day public notice, Aquatic Invasive Plant Control Research Demonstration Project. And again, they just released this today to let everybody know that on July 13th, there's supposed to be a comment period or a comment period closing on July 13th.
Well, I can tell you, I've been boating in Hamburg Cove for 20 years. It's very, very shallow. It's not a deep cove. It's far enough south so that there's still tidal influence. So we have tides on the river, high and low tides. When it's at low tide, man, you have to stay in that channel or you're going to ground. And every time I go into Hamburg Cove when it's low tide, I've got to tilt up my outdrive and clean off the prop because those plants have been there for a long time.
Yeah.
This is not a new thing.
Apparently not. Again, like I said, all research, there are websites dedicated to the plant with a video explaining, what it is and where it's from and how it got to Connecticut. So there's information on it. So none of this appears to make any sense. And look, I'm like Chris Webby on this. What's the sudden interest in using this chemical? And
yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what department is driving this. It's got to be DEEP, right?
Yes.
All right. Well.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to get to the bottom of this. We don't, like I said, not like we have a lot of time, but we're going to get to the bottom of it. If you hear anything from your friend or if you talk to her, let her know that I've reached out to her on Facebook in the link that you sent me, and hopefully we can get some sort of action on this and probably get some people talking about it. But if Bloomberg knows about this,
right,
that's a problem. I mean, Blumenthal knows about this. That's a problem.
Well, this is Joe Courtney's district, too. So
yeah. Okay.
He's another guy you got to reach out to.
You got it. Yeah. Thank you, man.
Right, ciao.
You got it. Let's go to Karen in Southington. Hello, Karen.
Hey there. I just want to add some more perspective to this. So Lake Pocono, it flows into the Salmon River, which flows into the Connecticut River. And the previous caller indicated Hamburg Cove. I, too, have been a boater on the Connecticut River for many, many years. I've written many articles about the Connecticut River and its significance as the largest river ecosystem in New England. And in fact, the river starts at the confluence where in Old Saybrook, it travels through Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, parts of Maine, onto Quebec. So years ago, the river was polluted. There were efforts made to clean it up through the Clean River Act, and it was done. It is a highly fishable river. It's very safe. People swim in it all the time, and this is just extremely disturbing because you think of the long-term effects from one particular area, one particular stream, but you have to look at the bigger picture and where all of this ends up eventually. And this is where all of this is going to end up.
Let me play this for you. Hopefully I don't have the audio too loud, but I'm going to try to play this audio. Chris Webby, when he was on the show, he said that he saw a video of a guy who was walking through this.
Yes, I heard him say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me see if I can play this. Let me see if I can play it. It might be a little too loud, but I'll bring it down if I can. Just listen real close.
See how there's no bottom limb? See how all the bottom limbs, the whole layer of where they've sprayed, and it's killed it. So when they spray it, all of those bottom limbs are dead. Those should be coming down into the water a lot.
Now here he says that a month and a half after they sprayed this one creek area, and he has video of them spraying it with, pretty much the same way they do pesticides. He said a neighbor who watched his videos about this contacted him and said, please come on my property. I want to show you what's on my property along the line where she has a fence line with the river. Here's what he found.
So I got a phone call from a lady. She lives over here on the South Shore. And a month and a half ago or so, we posted videos of the overspray. They were spraying dickwad over here. Well, she started watching the videos of the dead turtles that I found in the spray areas, and she called me. And she goes, I saw all these turtles coming up out of the lake, and I thought they were coming up to lay eggs, and the next day they were dead. This was right after they sprayed.
That's serious. And they're talking about protecting the river water, life that's there, saying that fish are being affected by this plant, but you have turtles who are not surviving the spraying.
Absolutely. I mean, this is going to affect all these tributaries. There's, like I said, the Salmon River, the Pocono, everything it all flows eventually into the Connecticut River, and then in Old Saybrook flows out to the Sound, and up north goes to Quebec. So, of course, this is all going to be affected. Weeds along the river is nothing new.
Yeah.
This is a normal part of what happens every year in the warm weather and everything else. But this is a serious effect because you will start seeing dead fish all along these tributary streams and the rivers.
Karen, it's going to get worse than that because, again, according to this story, Connecticut is not the only state that's going to get this done. And
That's
again,
correct.
Chris Webby, again, investigating this is seeing it. You know, he was listening to the guy in Texas and checked his own state, and in doing so found out that not just Connecticut, but other states are going to have this happen. Again, as I can only assume, without their knowledge, because like I said, this letter just came out as a public notice from the U.S. Army today, and it's already July 1st, and they said the public comment period closes on the 13th. They were giving people 13 days.
Yeah, well, I mean, that there's a reason for that. I mean, this is why everything is just swept under the carpet, and it's a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all prescribed to act in a manner that it is acting in and to not inform the public.
Indeed. Karen, thank you. I hope, listen, if you get any further information on this, please share it with us. Find a
Sure
way to
will.
get it to us. I really appreciate you. Thanks, Karen.
Sure, well, thank you.
You got it. Let's go to Mike in Hartford. How are you, sir?
Are you doing a show on Friday?
Yes, I do plan on being here.
I got a great idea.
Talk to me.
Roseanne, with her voice, I would love to hear her sing either the national anthem or God Bless America.
Okay.
She's a veteran. That'd be awesome.
You know what? I will definitely.
I tell you, I don't want to put her on the spot. I don't want to put any pressure on her, but I'll tell you what. I think myself and a lot of the listeners,
I think they would appreciate that.
They would appreciate it, and then some. And I like to make a comment about this controversy with the spray.
Yeah.
You know, just leave it up to Blumenthal, old liver lips, to stick his nose in it. Again.
Fundraise for crying out loud.
Fundraising. He's a disgrace. They had to run him out of town.
If this is, look, this could very well be as big as I expect it to be of an issue if the word gets out, and I'm hoping that it does, to put a stop to this, and again, just to have a groundswell of people finding out about this. That because
now he's acting like the DEP commissioner. You know what? He's never done his job. He's never stayed within the parameters of his job ever in his career, if you want to call it a career, in his life.
Yeah, I think that, look, like I said, we're going to have to investigate this further. I know that there's some people who are informing me who are in fish and wildlife who are also commenting on this. I'm going to take everybody's info. I promise you I will get to you in the next couple of days because I think we're going to have to drill down on this all week to find out what's going on. So I'm hoping that we
Friday,
do.
but I'm going to make sure I listen to the show.
You got it, boss man. Thank you, Mike. Jeff, just stick around for that. I promise I'll get back to you in a second. And like I said, I would have never imagined this being as serious as it was when it was sent to me by Kenny, who is one of my followers on X. When he sent it to me, I was like, hey, what's this? Oh, not Kenny, Kevin. Sorry, Kevin. Kevin sent it to me by Kevin. I said, what the heck is this? And I looked at it, and I'm going, what? And I'm telling you what, the only reason why I was flipped out, and I say it over and over again, I don't believe in coincidences. Sunday, I went and bought that Roundup stuff. Only reason why is because I was trying to kill these weeds, and I've tried everything to get rid of them, and it doesn't work. And I said, don't worry, I'll be very careful. I read the I read the instructions and everything. I got gloves. I even got a mask. They told me to wear long clothing. Don't let anything get on you. And then, sure enough, a little bit got on my pants. I won't even look at the pants. I'm so afraid of them. Just a little bit. And we're talking like droplets. Got on my pants after I read the instructions and the danger and all that stuff. Couple of droplets got on my pants. I won't even look at my pants. I put them over on the side. I won't put them near the laundry. My wife has asked me about them 3 times. Are you going to move those pants? No. Leave them there. Waiting for them to disintegrate or something. So to find out about this, it blew my mind. I'm like, they really put this in the water? Who would ever think of that? And it's crazy because, again, this is a perfect example of no reporting, no interest in covering the stuff that matters. Everyone playing blind, oblivious, dumb, ignorant, whatever. That it took the gumshoe efforts of Chris Webby to use his platform to get it to our attention. Because no one else would have told us. That's insanity to me. We'll come back. We'll wrap this up. We'll take your phone call. Stay on the line, guys. Don't go anywhere. Got to pay some bills. We're going to get you home and get the weather, of course, because it's raining out there. Jason Caterina's got weather, and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Reese, thank you very much. Well, if you're heading toward Hartford, westbound 84, a little tight as you approach the Boakey Bridge in East Hartford out to 47 Sigourney, 84 eastbound, some slow traffic approaching 46 Sisson Avenue up to 48 Capitol Avenue. Southbound 91 slowing in Hartford 33 to 32, again down by exit 28. Another little bump as you move between 21 and 20, Cromwell down into Middletown. Northbound 91, good ride, Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. 291 eastbound's a little slow getting over the Bissell Bridge as you head Windsor into South Windsor. 2 westbound slowing 1D up to the 84 West merge. Quiet Middletown. Waterbury 84 westbound delays 22 to the Mixmaster. 84 eastbound slowing by 18 in Waterbury. 84 eastbound Danbury tight. New York Connecticut line to 5 again from 8 in Danbury sluggish up to 11 in Newtown. South 95 New Haven slowing 46 down to exit 44. And if you're traveling southbound on the Parkway, sluggish traffic 60 in Hamden into the West Rock Tunnel. Road closure right now in Old Line 156 shut down between Dogwood Drive and Cross Lane because of a box truck versus utility pole accident there. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
Brought to you by the CT Insider. Explore more at ctinsider.com.
There's more to Connecticut with CT Insider, a hometown behind every headline. With every issue, investigation, or interview, there's more when you're following from the inside. Visit ctinsider.com for more.
WTIC weather.
Well, the rest of our Tuesday, humid, turning cloudy. We'll have a couple of showers and heavy thunderstorms this afternoon. They could produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts, the high of 91. A thunderstorm on the prowl this evening that could still produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts. Otherwise, partly cloudy, warm and humid. The low only down to 71. Warm and humid Wednesday. Overcast in the morning. Clouds and sun with a thunder shower in the area late in the afternoon. The high of 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
And now, a WTIC news update.
It's 5:30. Good afternoon. I'm John Silva. Senate barely passed President Trump's budget bill today. The chamber pulled an all-nighter, after which Vice President Vance was needed to break a 50-50 tie. It now heads to the House for consideration there. Fairfield police charging a psychiatrist with sexual assault. This following an incident involving one of his patients, Lazaro Pomerantz of Westport, facing a 4th-degree sexual assault charge. He is free on $25,000 bond due in court next week. Man accused of stabbing to death a Fairfield prep student and injuring 3 others during a fight at a house party in Shelton. Back on the witness stand today, Raul Valley says he feared for his life after being beaten. Jimmy McGrath died in that melee in May of 2022. There's no court tomorrow, and lawyers are expected to deliver their closing arguments on Thursday. President Trump says migrants who would need to know how to run away from an alligator to flee the new detention center he visited in a remote part of the Everglades today. Trump toured the facility, getting a first-hand look at what the White House suggests will be especially secure given its dangerous natural surroundings. Jury in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial says it has reached a verdict on 4 of 5 counts against the mogul, unable to reach a decision on the top charge, racketeering conspiracy. The judge indicated he would instruct the jury to continue weighing that charge, echoing the sentiments of prosecutors and Combs' defense team that they've only been at it for 2 days. And the 4th of July holiday will see millions traveling 50 or more miles to their destinations. The majority will travel by automobile. Busiest travel times expected to be tomorrow and Sunday. Wall Street Dow finished up 400 points today. The Nasdaq lost 166, and the S&P was down 6 points. Red Sox and Cincinnati, game 2 of their series tonight at Fenway, 6:10 the pregame. Toronto's gone ahead of the Yankees 4-2 at Rogers Center, and the Mets tonight will host the Brewers. Eastern League, the Yardgoats have a home tilt at Duncan against Binghamton, 7:10 on the Odyssey app. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro.
Yeah, Jim.
Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
And remember that you can now go to the WTIC and Odyssey app to listen to Reese on the radio. Yes, it's a wonderful thing. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, I feel like I have arrived. I am finally here. I'm on WTIC on the app where you can download and listen to Reese on the radio. Wonderful things. I'm sorry.
Okay, Axel Foley.
Small things. Very small things. My wife says to me the other day, she goes, "You are such a simple man." I am simple. I like my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I like rock music to sound good. I need to play my music loud. I need to hear the bass. I don't care what kind of music it is. I need to hear the bass. If it's a rock band, need to hear the bass. Hip hop, need to hear the bass. Got to hear it. Got to get a nice drum kit. Got to hear it all. I'm just a big fan. So I'm simple. And to be on WTIC's website, for me, that's like, that's Mount Everest to me. And I know people understand how I am. So, it may not be their deal. Okay. Let's do this thing real quick.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Stupidest thing I read today comes from The Wrap. That's a publication. You can catch them online. It's called The Wrap. And of course, they usually talk about Hollywood. So they did in this case. And in their article, it says, ICE agents in LA sets Hollywood summer on edge as Latino workers hide. But I want to read you the first paragraph, why it's the stupidest thing I've read today. The man swimming laps next to me in a public pool in Santa Monica paused at the edge of the limpid water inside a fifth-generation Angelino of Chinese descent. Collins said he's been driving his two daughters to their activities all over town. Today is swim team training because their nanny won't. The nannies will not come out of the house, he said. It's like Anne Frank or something. He said that his nanny is hiding in the house like Anne Frank. That's the headline from the Wrap, saying that illegals in California, people who are harboring them in their home, feel like they're harboring Anne Frank. Wow. Just wow. Just the audacity. Anyway, let's get another check of your weather and traffic and wrap this puppy up. Jason Katarina's got weather. Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS traffic center. Some people.
Some people. Hey, Reese, thank you very much. If you're heading into Hartford right now, westbound 84 tied up, approaching the Bulkley Bridge out to 46 Sisson Avenue. Eastbound 84, just a little loss of speed as you move 48 Capitol Avenue into the tunnel. 91 southbound delays 33 to 32 A and B in Hartford. And again, you'll see another minor slowdown as you approach exit 20 in Middletown. Northbound 91, good ride, Cromwell up into Windsor Locks. 291 through 84 up, moving well east of the river. 2 westbound, slowing 1D up to the 84 West merge in East Hartford. Good ride through Middletown, 9 in the Aragoni Bridge. 9 northbound, Berlin's a little slow by exit 32. If you're traveling into Waterbury, 84 eastbound, a brief slowdown by 18. Westbound 84 Waterbury is a little slow, 22 to the Mixmaster. 84 eastbound Danbury slowing New York, Connecticut line to 5, again from 10 to 11 in Newtown. South 95 New Haven slowing 46 to 44. And we do have a road closure right now, an old line, Route 156 shut down between Dogwood Drive and Cross Lane because of a box truck versus utility pole accident there. Traffic and weather together on the WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
All right, we got a line of moderate to heavy rainfall and thunderstorms now from just north of Granby, heading southwest through New Hartford, over to Goshen and Cornwall, down to Warren and Kent. That's making its way to the east, so be prepared. We are going to get some rain as we head through this evening. A thunderstorm on the prowl. They could produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts this evening. Otherwise, partly cloudy, warm and humid, the low down to 71. Warm and humid for us on Wednesday. Overcast in the morning, clouds and sun for the afternoon. A pleasant day, the high of 86. Then Thursday, mostly cloudy, gusty thunderstorms in the afternoon that could produce some localized damaging wind gusts. A hot day, the high up to 91. Beautiful day for 4th of July. Friday, less humid, plenty of sun, not as hot, the high of 84. Filtered sunshine both days this weekend. Air quality will be poor for sensitive groups on Saturday, the high of 86. Then a hot day to round out the holiday weekend Sunday with the high jumping up to 93. Right now, 91 Meriden, 84 in New Haven, 91 Danbury, and 90 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Katarina in the WTIC Weather Center.
You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. Active Liver provides an easy daily detox. Go to NordicuSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
Men, summertime is here, and that means vacations, summer barbecues, outdoor parties, camping, beaches, and so much more. This is Dale for Northeast Men's Health, and if you're like many men, you may not be feeling like yourself this summer. Perhaps your energy is low and you aren't sleeping well. Maybe your workouts aren't as good as they used to be. Maybe even your sex drive is off. And if what I'm describing is you, it's very likely you're suffering with low testosterone. But low T doesn't have to affect you anymore. Just call Northeast Men's Health, get treated, and see how it changes your life. If you're like most men, you'll feel so much better. Deeper sleep, improved vitality and clarity, greater strength and energy, and an improved sex drive as well. So call us. Just $99 gets you a PSA and T test and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 800-930-5956. That's 800-930-5956. Or go to northeastmenshealth.com. We have 6 offices across the Northeast to serve you, including our new office in Warwick, Rhode Island.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of... No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is.
You know who it is. It's Reese on the Radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we're back. We're going to get right to the phones. Don't forget, tomorrow, Ben Wetmore of Project Veritas is going to join us. He did apologize that he didn't get to be a part of the program yesterday. He misread, or didn't read, in his words, didn't read the email that was sent to him that he was a guest on the show yesterday. But he called me last night. We had a great conversation, and he apologizes to you all very humbly and hopes that you'll forgive him and give him an opportunity tomorrow. He'll be joining us at 4:05. And by the way, if you haven't figured that out, that's usually when we do all of our interviews and around the 4 o'clock hour. Gives everybody an opportunity to sort of listen and to tease it beforehand. So he'll be here tomorrow at 4:05. Let's get to our phones now. Let's go, Jeff, finally. Jeff in Marlboro, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How about you, buddy?
Pretty good. What's up?
So I got 2 points I want to remark on, but first I just want to say that guest you had on tonight, I can't remember his name.
Chris Webby.
Chris Webby is probably the best guest that you've ever had on here.
Really? He's a good guy.
Yeah, I think so. I found him very interesting to listen to, and he seemed, he just calls himself, I'm just a hip-hop guy, but he seemed very knowledgeable to me. So
yeah, this has kind of been a calling for him out of nowhere, and I get that sense from him that, I didn't know that this was actually going to affect him, and now he's all in.
Yeah, he seemed really on top of it. So, he was, great.
Thank you.
So Lake Poketapog is like a stone's throw from me. It's in the next town over, a 3-minute drive from my house.
Oh, wow.
Every year they're notorious for, they have these giant algae blooms from, people around the lake who put fertilizer on their lawn or businesses and whatnot. So they treat the lake almost every year. I don't know if that's what that guy witnessed, but I would say it was likely.
Yeah, another person said that there's a huge algae problem in that part of the lake/beach area.
Yeah, it's like a couple different areas on the lake have this huge algae blooms, and they do it almost every year. So that might have been what was going on there.
Okay.
But my other point that I wanted to talk about was that I find it so strange that we find ourselves on the other end of the spectrum that you would expect all these Democratic libs to be on. We want to protect the environment.
Right.
We want to protect the environment. We don't, we don't freak out, global warming. Oh my gosh.
Right.
These guys see a plant. They see a plant they don't like and they want to spray poison everywhere.
Absolutely. It's crazy you say that. Again, I think that's part of my outrage in all of this. I don't know if Chris Webby feels that way, but that's the way it affected me. I went and I said, wait a minute. How is it that we are the ones who are screaming and hollering about preserving our wildlife in the region, and Blumenthal's the one who's actually advocating and fundraising off of poisoning the water? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, he basically just wants to Agent Orange the whole state, and it's like
insanity. I think that adds to, you know what, Jeff? I really think that now I'm finally recognizing my outrage. It's because it doesn't make sense. Yeah. Thank you, buddy.
It's like the polar opposite of what you would think. But.
Yes, exactly. Thought he'd be on our side. Thank you, buddy. Let's go to Stan in Broadbrook. I'm sorry. Hey, Stan.
Hey, Reese. Long time, first time.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm in a little town. It's called Broadbrook, Connecticut, which is one of the 5 villages of East Windsor. Now, with that being, and us having 1,000 acres of solar shoved down our throat in the dead of the night, for the idea of green, and the sitting council basically just tried to is bulldozing us over for another 400 acres, 374 acres. They're going for it, you know? We're producing, and none of the power stays in Connecticut.
Right.
All to be green. And it's kind of funny that I see this, and our legislators are looking to get rid of something very simple. It's called notices. So our public notices, they want to eliminate from newspapers.
Gotcha.
Yeah, newspapers are old school, but people still read them on the web. They still read it. So your notices, they want to get rid of them out of there. So again, everything is going to go bump in the middle of the night. And it's kind of odd that this would happen on a sort of holiday weekend. It's very, very strange. And, you know, I mean, I don't mind being green to a certain extent, but it's tough to eat dead turtles that have been poisoned, you know?
Yes.
I don't see, you know,
you're so
we're
right.
trying to be green, but yet we're like you just said, Agent Orange and the whole thing.
Yeah,
Look,
the crazy
you never
part.
got a chance to cross
The
across the pond to go with the rest of your buddies. No, you stood on our shores where everybody else died in Vietnam. I'm sorry.
Stan, there's a really, really good, I think there's the point that's being made here, which is so crazy about this, right? So you have July 4th weekend. Usually, because July 4th lands on a Friday, right? What do we have? You have last public comments on the 13th, right, is a Sunday. When the 4th of July lands on a Friday, people take the following week off for vacation when they do. That's how that works. So if you're out of town, the likelihood that you're out of town, going on family vacation, whatever the case is, there's a likelihood you're not going to be there to protest it or to be a part of this public response. So it was strategic in its way, because you could have done this. You could have waited until after, maybe a week or two after the July 4th holiday, or even done it in August when it's kind of the slowest of holidays during the year, where people would have had an opportunity to speak up. It's Connecticut. It's going to be hot, but it's not going to be like Texas hot. You could have had that at any time. I think they strategically put this public notice in the week that most people were going to be out of town on vacation. That's what I think they did that.
Guarantee it. Yeah, I guarantee it. Because it's even like this House Bill 5002.
Yeah.
That would take away the voice of every one of the 169 towns. I think there's two of them that are actually the municipalities are melted together, but still 169 voices, and take them away and be able to and say, here, you're putting this kind of housing in, or you're doing this, or you're doing that, and you have no choice in the matter. And you might as well go back to the Soviet bloc countries. I mean, I worked with somebody who came from the Iron Curtain. One guy escaped, the other guy lived through it. And if you had your cows were only supposed to give you 12 gallons of milk and you had 13, the government poured your milk out in Poland. You know, if you had extra farmland and it was usable, they planted trees on it so you couldn't produce any more.
Exactly.
And it's just how they're getting it to us, and it's really, really bothering.
Yeah, and it's got to be stopped. It's got to be stopped, Stan. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Let me go to Robin Meriden. How are you, sir?
Good. Let me. Well, thank you, Reese, for picking up my call. I just, 50 Buster. Sorry about that. You mentioned something about Anne Frank.
Yes. The kid in California. In California, they're saying that because people's nannies refuse to take their kids to their swim practices, they say it's like having Anne Frank at their home, protecting them from the brown shirts, the SS.
Yeah, they sound just like the what's it called, Higgins people in the Boston, Mass, the Canton, Massachusetts. They're paranoid too. The ones who they're nervous of going outside, the police officers.
Yeah, everything about them is just, every time I hear a new statement that these folks make about illegals in this country, I can't stop it. I cannot not point it out, even though it's ridiculous. I know I'm bringing attention to the most absurd.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What do you think? I mean, you may not be able to opinionate without approval, What do you think about the Karen Reed verdict? And those police officers, I don't know their names. Some of them are
all I can say about Karen Reed is this real quick. From what I gathered and from what everyone has been able to tell me from what they've ascertained from that trial, the right decision was made because there was far too much secrecy coming from his fellow officers.
Just remember, a few bad apples. Thank you,
Hey,
Reese.
I don't know whether or not it's a few bad apples. I'm just saying the police officers didn't look like they were doing anything. They were just as shady. Let's go to Louise in New Britain. How are you, Louise?
Yes, hi. About the spraying at the river.
Yes, the dequat.
I just heard bits and pieces of it, but how about RFK? Is he in favor of this?
That's the thing. I know that what's his name? Zelny, the EPA director. I'm going to see one of my friends I know can get in contact with him or at least get him a note. Zeleny, that's his name. I'm going to see if I can get him a note because, again, the Army is the one who put out this public notice. So clearly Washington knows about it, right? Without a doubt, this is federal that this is happening. So I've got to inquire, one, why this is happening and why people are being kept in the dark. And that is, again, at odds with this administration federally. They are known to be transparent, and this would really put a blight on their reputation for being so, because this isn't some fly-by-night, where we're all ambiguous about the danger of this herbicide. We know, everyone who's told us. I mean, even as Chris Webby said, landscapers call it the nuclear option. That's a hell of a way to describe it.
Wow.
So I'm going to talk to a couple of people that I know. In fact, my next door neighbor owns a landscaping company. I'm going to ask him about it, and he'll give me the details. I mean, as it is. He's a very knowledgeable person on this stuff. So I'm going to get what I can and then forward that information to the people or the powers that be.
Yeah, okay. Get to it.
You got it. Thank you, Louise. I appreciate you. Let's go to Evan. Hello, Evan.
Hey, so the Senate tax bill that passed today is pretty disgusting. I didn't think it could be worse than the House bill, but now it is.
I know you're not happy with it, but we've got one more check and balance in the House. Do you think
we do?
We do. We have one more because the bill's not going to the president's desk until I guess the House is going to rewrite some stuff, or they're allowed to rewrite some stuff. Yeah. So I'm expecting that, and then as soon as that's rewritten, I'm going to go over it, and then you and I are finally going to have our MMA competition where we will go toe-to-toe.
I can't wait, and we'll make the time. I know you want me on earlier in the day. I'll make that available.
You got it. I really, really want to debate this with you because I know, listen, it's not like I don't know where you're coming from, Evan. This is a kicking the can down the road, aspect. I will admit there are some people who I'm quite fascinated who are supporting this bill who would have never done so 5, even 10 years ago. Guys like Mark Levin, who is, he is noticeably silent, reticent to criticize, and a little more free-spirited. Rand Paul has been steadfast. I expect Rand Paul to be who he is. I expect Thomas Massey to be who he is. And those guys, they do not compromise their principles. I like all three of those guys, by the way, Levin, Paul, and Massey. I do. However, I'm going to say that I feel a little bit of risk gets reward out of this, and that's what you and I will discuss from my point of view. I know the way you're going to come at it. You're going to come at it technically, right? You're going to come at it what is going to come down the road, how much deficit is going to be a part of all of this. Of course, our national debt. I know all of that, but I'm going to come at you from a different angle, and then we'll hash it out.
I appreciate that. One thing for your listeners to consider in the meantime,
you got it.
Just think about how this affects everybody on private insurance and who goes through a state exchange with the Affordable Care Act.
Mm-hmm.
When there's less people on Medicaid and they're just going to the hospital and not paying for anything, your premiums will go up. So not everybody is going to be affected. There isn't a single person insulated from this.
That's a very good point. And, And I feel you on that, but remember, I get where your point is, and I can't talk about it now because you literally, that's what you just did right there was kick a hornet's nest, because I wish I had more time.
I'm giving people something to think about in the
No,
meantime
it's a
before
great,
we get together.
it is a great point, Evan. Don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing it. You, trust me, that was what I call the biggest bait I ever had to deal with in my entire life on radio.
It'll
So I
get people
appreciate it.
fired up to call in tomorrow.
You got it, boss. Thank you, Evan. As always, sir. I love it when you call. He's a great challenge. God, he's a good challenge. He may turn into my white whale. Evan's a good guy. Love it. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night and a pleasant tomorrow. Jason Catarina's got your weather, and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Good night, Mark. Have a wonderful Tuesday.
You too, Reese. Thank you. If you're heading westbound 84 into Hartford, a little slow, Bulkley Bridge up to 45 Flatbush Avenue. Lose a little speed there. 84 eastbound moving well, Farmington to Vernon. 91 southbound, just a little slow at 32A and B in Hartford.
All right,
northbound
Ro.
91, easy ride, Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. 291 through 84, okay. 2 eastbound moving well, Glastonbury.
Hey, Reese, I got a special guest.
Waterbury, 84.
Reese, it's Steph.
Master.
Hey,
84
Steph.
eastbound,
What's going
Danbury
on?
Slowing.
How are you?
Make it line out to 5.
We're so excited. We want you to get here soon. When are you coming?
If
Well,
you're traveling into New
right
Haven, a
now,
little slow down by 44 on 95
here's-
South.